Well, well, well. Looks like it's a nice healthy dose of Monday. Yeah! Party time, yo. I honestly, I'm gonna start it out like that when AK just dropping subs. My man AK in the chat starting us off with a lot of energy. I don't have a light on. I'm really dark. Hold on. Wait for it. There we go. Hi. All right, we're here. Welcome in, everybody. I had to start off with energy, dude. AAK dropped 5 subs before we even got started. Hey, new week, new me. Thank you. Hope everybody's having a lovely day. PK dropping 10 subs. Holy crap. And just like that, hitting the Twitch goal. Tell you what, folks. This Asperia Prowler on the screen, we got one of these to give away. We passed both goals today. I think Mrs. Tomato said she started a new giveaway. Thank you so much to PK and AAK for getting us there already on the Twitch side of things. Crassix, appreciate you. And Taryn, thank you for the 100 bits to start off the pizza fun, dude. All right. Sounds like y'all are ready for some good news. Unfortunately, we've got a little bit of bad news this week. We have, if you haven't already seen, then maybe you have a healthier relationship with Star Citizen than I and others in this chat. But Star Citizen dealing with a little bit of a weird hiccup in player items, we'll say. We're going to go over that later today. Some believe it is hacking. Some believe it is simply problems with the game. There are videos and chatter on forums that I have to show you guys. There are also issue council posts that have been so-called fixed. So that's going to be an interesting topic, and we'll get to that. But before that, I'm going to take you through a little deep dive on the Kraken, because this one just popped up finally for the first time in a long time. And really, it's like... it's not a ship that comes up often. It's a gigantic ship. It's freaking huge. It's massive. So a lot of people are... Red what emoji? What'd you just say to me? Red heart? Oh, that's cute. Thank you, the star. Appreciate you, dude. Thanks for the sub. Woo! And the hype train got started on Twitch, guys. Gaib Kraken. Gaib Kraken sounds like somebody's name. They call me Kraken. Gaib Kraken. Yeah, sure, buddy. Kind of glad you got sucked back into Valheim this weekend. Valheim? Do they have an update? They've been doing something? Something new? Something fresh? You like your Mondays with a side of Tuesday. I love my Tuesdays with a side of Saturday. Gonna make that jump. Nice jump. Productive jump. It's been a long day. How you doing, PK? How was your weekend, dude? Just had an itch to play Arctic. I have an itch to play Elite Dangerous. Not gonna lie. I'm thinking one of these weeks, I'm gonna jump back into that game and have a real, like, first time stream, because last time I didn't get much done. I don't know. I want to get into another space game. I've been playing the Altars. We should go over that today. I should talk about that. I don't think I have access to my clips though. We're gonna do a session on the Altars at some point. Game is incredible. If you haven't played it, I'm gonna give you a little teaser, but promise you'll come back for next week when I do talk about it. The Altars is how do I describe this? It's like a Rubik's Cube of game puzzles. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think that's gonna be like totally the thumbnail if I make a video out of this. It's literally if you were to take different types of puzzles in games and then mesh them together. So you got like the kind of puzzles you'd solve in a normal action adventure game. Enemies that you have to get around. You've got the kind of puzzles you have to figure out in a base building game. Resource management, defense, that kind of stuff. And then you also have the kind of puzzles that you would deal with in something like Frostpunk, which it's by the same company. And that is like psychological, who do you sacrifice, who do you save, that kind of stuff. And it gets to be a lot. And it's all kind of, it all plays out, it connects to one another in different ways, but it feels like a combination of like Civ, Frostpunk, I don't even know it, and like a little bit of, I want to say Satisfactory, but some kind of base building game. Amazing concept. Yeah, it's a super interesting concept. I can't say it's the best it's been done, and a lot of people wish it had been, it had gone deeper, but like, I mean, how much money can you spend on a game? Don't answer that, Chris. Don't call me on the red phone, all right? We know the answer. But yeah, it's a good game, and I think if you are into like sci-fi stuff and you like a good mind-bending kind of game, this is a really good one. Basically, just I don't want to give away too much. You're not cloning yourself. You are essentially pulling versions of yourself out of different alternate universes and working together with those people. And boy, oh boy, does it get wild. Yeah, made by the devs of Frostpunk, 11-bit. You played the demo? Is that the one with the giant crash-landed wheel? That is the one. That is the one, my friend. Good game. Hey, Opius. Good to see you. STEM. I like X4. Actually, a really good idea. Wow. Hey, thank you guys so much for the support during that hype train. Old Man Observer, I see you. Dropping the sub on Twitch. Much love, friend. Hello. Why refusing my friend request? I don't, what? I don't think YouTube has friend requests. Serene, good to see you. 07's chat. You guys want to, what the dude, that's a huge 07 in chat. How'd you even do that? That's impressive. You guys want to talk about the Kraken? You want to release it? Hey everybody, I got my buddy back in town. His name's John Kraken. We like to release him. Sorry, that was dumb. You guys remember Attack of the Titans? Clash of the Titans? Bro, I really freaking wish that that series had done better. I feel like it kind of fell short. Let's get Kraken. Hey. Okay, you got me. Crassics, yeah, you kind of stop getting along with yourselves in that game, and it can go wrong. I already got revolted against. It's pretty bad. I let everybody get radiation poisoning for like 2 days. Sorry, guys. My bad. I needed water and minerals, okay? You can boil on the atomic level for a couple days. We'll be okay. They decided we wouldn't be okay, and they killed me, but you know, it's a learning opportunity. You want the Perseus?
Release the Kraken.
Hey. Obama. We went over the Perseus a little while ago. We'll probably touch on it again when there's an update. It looks like it's going to be a fun ship in the org, though. Do I think the lib will come out before the Kraken? The filthy lib? No. Oh. No, I don't think so. I think they're more excited to get the Kraken done. Liberator doesn't really feel like it has much momentum behind it, but maybe it is a smaller ship. The Kraken's going to take freaking forever. The reason we're going over this, by the way, is in the most recent monthly report, it entered pre-production. So I think it's worth doing a little first look, a little first impressions. And this is all old information. They're going to have to reconcept the heck out of it. We'll go over that. My thoughts on with no gameplay update. What? What's your thoughts with no gameplay update? What do you mean? Like they didn't get the update in before the free fly? Soul Blue, the drama is really just the disagreements between the current problems plaguing Star Citizen right now. Is it hacking or is it glitches? Is it dancing or is it fashion? I don't think that's the quote. Meanwhile, throughout this whole stream, just to kind of put it to the test in real time while we're talking about all this stuff, I will in the background have my game sitting by in area 18 to see if anything happens to us while we're standing around. You know, I see people saying like they're not going to touch the game, and while I understand not wanting to risk your stuff, I think it's worth putting it to the test and seeing if things are actually happening that much to people who are going in the game, and maybe dispelling some of the fear if there is a lot. Also, obviously, we're going to talk about the fact that there was a issue council thingy. We have 19 Krakens in the org. What the actual f are we going to do with that? That sound effect is not usually attached to that. Good old anime wow. Hacking is just taking advantage of glitches and poor security practices. Social engineering, it's just finding a way in. I mean, definitely. Certainly. But also, I do have like videos of actual programmed tools. Build a row of Krakens and and those tools may very well be based off of exploits that are just glitches. Not saying that's not a thing, but if you can harness that kind of power reliably and repetitively, then you have money potential. If you have money potential, then you are going to attract less than welcome sorts to yourself and thus the game. Not crazy about that. So don't worry, it's not a gameplay day. It's still Monday mornings with Tomato. We're gonna be chatting. I'm just gonna put this character in the background so that we have an actual ongoing representation. Look at this guy, he's like walking. Look at you. Wow, look at him, he's even trying to avoid me. Move your shoulder. Oh. All right, barely did it that time. Where are you going? Oh, and you gonna get a soda? You gonna throw something away? You gonna sit down here? Is this your friend, Jared? How about this, Buckley? Are you Buckley? Friends with him?
Hey, what's going on?
What you talking about? What are you guys talking about?
Everybody's freaking out about the imprints failing.
Ah, yeah.
Care less. I miss the rush you get when you're taking a risk. I've been bored as hell since I got imprinted.
I mean, you could die though. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds stressful.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, who wants to die when you could not? Like, could you imagine having that? Whoa, that was a short conversation. Okay, we're on our way. Bye, Buckley. You kind of, honestly, you kind of suck. Where's he going now? He's just headed back into town. He's like, I don't want to go out into the wild now. Listen to how crazy my friends are. What you doing? Just head back home? Too dangerous out here for you? Imagine having the ability to not die and being like, yeah, but I love the rush of almost dying. Well, doesn't your body still feel that when you jump out of an airplane or a spaceship or something? You think they're going to be reconcepting the internals of the Kraken? Probably. I bet it grows. I bet it gets a little bit bigger. Only been killed once so far, and your armor hasn't been stolen, but as a caution, you walk around in civilian clothes. Oh, I bet you think you're pretty cool, huh? Looking like a normal person. Huh? Tough guy. Wearing your button down, looking nice and fly in our corp, while the rest of us get sweaty and gross in our armor. Too lazy to press up a couple buttons. Things seem worse on the US region servers. You guys choose violence. Oh, you know what? That's actually what I should do. I should go to US. If I can. I don't know, sometimes it doesn't let me switch. The starter suit. I forgot that was the starter suit. It's been a while since we got that suit by default. USA. We load and everyone's screaming and shooting each other and everything's on fire. Hello? Yeah, Chris, your US servers are broken. They're crazy. Everyone's nuts. Oh, that's why you moved the business to England? Okay. He's like, yeah, dude. We couldn't handle it. We moved to Manchester. How'd I know you wore button downs? You're famous, man. The guy that wears the clothes. How long is free fly? It's going till the 14th, I want to say. June 14th? No, July 14th. That'd be backwards. June is the other way. Gameplay stream, long time of game. Not quite. I'm giving us a little test in the background here, all right? I'm gonna do a video on this whole hacking thing, and I'm gonna say some things in there about being scared or not being scared or how to perceive these things, and I think no point in doing that unless I'm gonna at least go out and like see if it actually happens. I have spent a solid 3 or 4 hours so far in the ArcCorp starport today and haven't had anything going down. So we'll see if it happens right now. But I'm just gonna get in place and then we'll get to our chatting. Can't wait for the game to get NPCs that act like players and run around in full suits, hangers, and all that jazz. NPCs that just run and jump like I do. Like they need to make a Space Tomato NPC. Prancing around in his medieval looking armor. I'm using this armor because it's the most unique one I have. So like, if there is people who are stealing armor, then maybe it would be, oh, these people are cowering. Like cowering people means maybe these people are dying. Oop, this person died. Another dead person. I feel like maybe dead people could mean something, but also dead people could mean anything in Star Citizen. It's Star Citizen. You're almost always dead. Hey, buddy. Nice shoulder pads you got there. Oh, this is the this is the flight suit, hey? You flight suit guy? Oh, uh-oh. Did I just invite him to party? Sorry, didn't mean it. That's awkward. Don't get on the train. Don't get on the train. Oh my God. Don't get on the train. Go. Close the door. Close the door. Close the door.
Doors are now closing.
So embarrassed. It looks like a US server. Yeah, we loaded into the other server, had people walking around. NPCs were chatting, having a good time. We get in here and there's just cowering NPCs and dead people on the floor. And the dead people were naked. What the f? Why were they naked, dude? You guys remember like a month maybe ago when we were playing as an org and we were doing Hathor and we were all in the cave after we had done the whole loop and we'd gotten inside and we were doing some mining and everyone died all at once. And we kind of assumed that like something happened with a rock getting overloaded, but there was like 15 people spread out across that cave, maybe like 10 people spread out across that cave, all just dead like that. And that, I didn't think in any way that that was caused by a player other than maybe a gameplay situation, but I do now wonder to myself when I can see the possibility. It was a rock overloading. Yeah, see, that's, I mean, it happens, but also why the heck does a rock overloading kill the entire cave? That just happens. That can happen from the rock overloading and also from the like cave closing up on everyone, right? Because the cave is small. Dude, it's not that small. Those aren't huge rocks. Like, I don't know. Did they buff what those do when they explode? Because in my experience, whenever I've seen one of those rocks, look at this guy walking. What do you think? You're better than us because you walk, huh? Think you're a cool guy? No, it's true. You are better than us. It's pretty cool. Look at me. I just sprint and jump. Just literally jumping over pylons. Gimbal killed everyone when we went CZ. Yeah, I saw that AAK.
Want your company to be in good company?
It's pretty crazy, to be honest. Yeah, because like those caves, I remember when I would overload an FPS rock back in the day, I could just back away and it would explode and it wouldn't hurt me. Now it's supposedly killing everybody in the whole cave. The whole level dies? Is that okay? That's like a glitch then, huh? Okay, so this will be going on in the background. We'll check on it every so often. I have my replay buffer running, so if anything happens within a 10-minute gap, I hit a button and we have all the footage saved. So if we do get back in there and I hit the button and we see what happened and it is something interesting, then yay, we've solved the mystery. Otherwise, we'll just have the game on in the background. I will try to move the mouse every once in a while. Would having the QR code help? That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I almost just screwed us over. There we go. I was recording the screen, which would have just gotten what we're looking at. Which doesn't really help us, does it? All right. My poor computer is probably killing right now. Okay. Now, maintenance is all done, folks. Let's talk about the Kraken. This ship was introduced. You know what? Before we get into the super detailed talks, let's look at the trailer. The Kraken trailer is actually one of my favorites. Not for anything in the actual ship part of the trailer, purely for the first like 20 seconds. One of the most satisfying camera draws in all of Star Citizen. Similar to the Star Engine trailer, this is one of those pullbacks that I really, really want to try and replicate somehow, someday in game. Give me 1 second. I'm going to mute this. So I just realized we're going to get all the audio. All right. Yeah, this is good times. I freaking love this. This is old Lorville. Look how small it looks. This is like pure Star Citizen, you know? That is the whole idea. Is you're just going from a city and you're flying out into space. And I feel like they could do so many more videos like this.
Unleash the crack can.
The crack can? This also hits a vibe. Like, this is what a lot of people want to do with all their time, you know, just chill out there in the black, mining a rock away in peace until, you know, this.
You can stop right there.
Right there. You can stop right there.
Or we kill you. I'm happy either way.
Not a care.
The time has come for something new. Something to change the game.
So it's like a spacecraft carrier, basically.
When seeking fortunes at the fringes of civilization, you need someone you can trust. In this age of uncertainty, it's time to take back your strength. It's time
Yikes,
to
dude.
release the Kraken. Drake Interplanetary.
See, but like these are the commercials though that make people be like, okay, but what about death? You know, like these people just getting wiped out. This dude literally
Strength.
getting shot, shields up, dead.
It's time to release the Kraken. Drake Interplanetary. We got your back.
We got your back. Honestly, that must be some valuable rock. Imagine deploying a Kraken to protect a prospector. Mining unobtainium must be. So it's a pretty freaking large ship. We don't even have to go over the details here. They're going to cover it all here. This is kind of going to be about the privateer, which is not the original one, but you'll still get kind of the idea of what the ship is about. The privateer is more focused on being like the human version of the Banu Merchantman. The original one is essentially, as you just saw, a spacecraft carrier, an attack carrier. It's got large capital class components. It's got a couple size 8. It's got one size 8-man turret, 4 size 6-man turrets, and 4 size 5 remote turrets. Dragonfly Bay, space for 6 vehicles or more if they're smaller. You got 2 hangars as well for ships in there, escape pods. Crew of 10, cargo of 3,792 SCU. This thing's a freaking flying fortress, and it lives in another class. This along with ships like the Pioneer are just in another class, another type of Star Citizen that we have no fucking insight into right now. Okay, we have minimal insight, but I think it should be stressed that not only are we not playing Star Citizen for us right now, we're not even getting close to Star Citizen for ships like this. The Orion, the Endeavor, the Pioneer. The Pioneer, we're kind of getting an idea because of the base building, but like these ships operate just in a different freaking realm of what we're doing, and they have to create that gameplay on top of all the other gameplay they have to make for what we're doing currently. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be here soon, and I'm sure it'll transport ships. But as far as like, will the game have a lot of demand for a ship like this by the end of next year or by the beginning of 2027, whenever this thing comes out? Who knows? It probably depends on how Squadron 42 is doing by that point. But let's take a look at the details surrounding at least the privateer and what the heck this thing's about.
It's the Kraken Privateer. So this is not just a normal Kraken.
So what is it then? It's a variant of the Kraken, and it's kind of like a mobile space station where you can have little shops and you can sell stuff to people. So in order to fit those shops in, you kind of take out a bunch of the cargo space.
So let's have a look at how on earth we do that internally. So this is a cutaway of the base Kraken. So this is the regular Kraken that we unveiled last year. You've got your huge amount of cargo, extra fuel, you've got your Dragonfly Bay. And then this is a close-up of that. So the Kraken Privateer is
I feel like you gotta clap for a cross-section, right? That's the thing.
full variant. It is not a modular swap because of the internal geometry changes. This next transition will make it look like it is a very simple swap, but trust me, there's a huge amount of interior changes that go on in here. So we swap out the main cargo bay for 8 shops, and then the Dragonfly Bay for 2 more shops, and then there's extra habitation modules put in there. So we're going to look at some of the actual...
Shops. This is the kind of thing that won't come until they get player shops done with base building. Clearly.
Pretty images for this.
Yeah, so let's take a look at some of the visuals.
Ooh, pretty.
So this is the main marketplace, the public market, and this is a sort of idea of it sort of converted. So you can see there the modular shops. We've even stuck in a schmaltz beer that's just hanging above the hanger there, just for the thirsty drinkers. But
Is that how we transport? Dude, wait, he's talking about this right here. Can you imagine if we were transporting like 16 SCU boxes of beer? Oh my gosh. Wait, guys. What's going on here? That full screen view is completely messed up. I am sorry. I don't even know how long it was like that. So he was talking about this right here. 16 SCU canisters of beer, just flying them from space station to space station.
kind of gives you just a good flavor of what it might be like in there. And you can kind of see right at the back where you can see the sort of Kraken logo. Just above there, there's a it's kind of like the captain of the ship. It's the crow's nest. So if you're the owner of the ship, you know, you can be looking out over your over the people, over the marketplace. Yeah. So I think it'd be pretty cool.
Freaking nuts, man.
So that's
This is definitely one of the concepts that I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, they're gonna have to make it so that NPCs can be coming on board and buying stuff, or else this ship is going to be so boring. Unless you can guarantee people will always be swinging by to buy stuff, but this is literally a player shop in space. Like, you're gonna have to be getting some good crafters to sell you some good stuff and get a reputation, and it's just like it feels kind of like a true end game ship. You can't just hop into a Kraken and start selling stuff unless the NPCs are picking up the slack. You kind of got to make a network to know, so people know who you are.
said before, it's going to replace the main cargo hold, and you're going to get 8 shops. It kind of uses the modularity system that we have for the space stations, but they're going to be smaller than those, so it's not going to be the exact same shops. You're going to be able to hire NPC crew to run the shops, and it's kind of a public space, so you got to be careful with what you're stocking and selling there.
No stock.
Yikes. Uh-oh. Guys, that's going to come back up for sure.
Widow in good locations. However,
Speaking of which, so this section here is where the Dragonfly bays were, but this has been refitted. So this is the private market, and there's two shops in here essentially. I really wanted to pack it out with more shops, but it's, you know, it was going to sort of like over
turn it into a shopping mall.
Yeah, basically. And we also need space for sort of AI and player navigation, but it gives you an idea of the maybe the slightly seedier vibe if you want to go that direction with your ship.
So this
Don't
is
say
the
anything about
market. It's
AI
behind
crew
closed
again.
doors, so it requires security access from the ship's captain to get in here. Places the Dragonfly bays. There's only 2 shops, and because it's invite only, this area does not have to abide by the local restrictions because the local
I'm a
security
baby boy.
can't get in
Hold me,
here.
daddy. Don't forget to burp me at Space Tomato Gaming.
Oh, thank you, Darth Maulin, for the sub. It's 9 months subbed. Very topical message. Remember, this is just for the Kraken privateer. The regular Kraken doesn't have to have all the shop stuff going on.
If you've got some more illicit wares, then you can do them in here and make a bit more profit that way.
You could also do perfectly legal stuff up here.
If you want. It's just giving you the choice.
Boo.
And this is
Hey, what's up,
the
Brig?
final fitted out area. So in the original Kraken, this is sort of large storage tanks, but they've been ripped out, replaced with these extra habs. So it should be a pretty cool sort of communal area. And, you know, screens, hopefully maybe some live stats of the marketplace. So you can be sitting there having a beer, chatting to your friends, and just sort of see what's going on in the rest of the ship.
You know what these are going to be make for? These are going to be great mission levels. Like when they need to host things like the 890 jump boarding mission, but obviously more advanced and in a different way sometime in the future. These ships are going to be great for it.
Yep, there's 10 extra hubs, there's 10 shops. Each NPC needs somewhere to live on board, and we didn't want them taken away from the existing hubs that are on board the ship.
What
'Cause
NPC?
those are there for essentially the people that are flying their ships to the station and staying there.
Then what are these for?
Great deal more to say about that.
Yeah.
Dude, they're not saying that's for NPCs that work on the ship, right? I'm not misreading this, yeah?
Yep, there's 10 extra hubs, there's 10 shops. Each NPC needs somewhere to live on board.
Oh my that is what they're saying. Okay, maybe... So maybe... Oh boy. Maybe then the NPCs would not be like what you would expect from normal AI crew. These would just be static NPCs that stand in a place behind a shop desk in your Kraken. Bro, this concept is... I did not start this video realizing how iffy this concept sounded with the current version of Star Citizen 1.0. This doesn't... I don't think... Yeah, I'm actually... I do agree with what PK is saying. I think the regular Kraken, they'll probably be able to get... I don't think this ship can come out before 1.0. I don't know. We'll see how involved they seem to want these shopkeepers to be, but they're going to have to reconcept the heck out of this.
We didn't want them taken away from the existing hubs that are on board the ship, because those are there for essentially the people that are flying their ships to the station and staying there. Not a great deal more to say about that.
Yeah. Here's a little schematic of like what it's going to look like, the setup. You've got your private shops up top with their own little storage below them. And then you've got the 8 shops in the main cargo bay with the secondary cargo bay being the storage for those shops.
And I am now going to try and explain shopping in 60 seconds whilst not being Tony Zurek.
Tony could never do that in 60 seconds. Come on. Yeah, Starfare, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. This is looking a bit complex. Yeah, you don't say.
So, the basic process for this is you have your Kraken Privateer. The shops are modular, as you mentioned. They're, think, converted cargo container crates that have shops built into them. The Kraken will come with a default generic selection. If you want to change them down the line, feel free. So you pick your shop archetype. Like I'm going to pick my clothing shop archetype. I put it in shop 1 slot. I hire Paul, my shopkeeper, to run that shop. Pay him 1 UEC a day to do that.
Okay, see, so in the way they're talking about that, like I could see them having just almost like an interactive sprite of an NPC that loads into the shop and just kind of acts as sort of like what the shopkeepers are in game right now. Not really doing anything, not moving around, just standing behind the desk, being a presence. I could see that. But still the idea of hosting shops is like, this is going to depend a hell of a lot on the player market, at least as far as player to player interactions go. Are they going to be able to get NPCs to come visit you on the ship and buy your stuff? I don't know.
Cheapskate.
I buy 500 Big Benny's hats, which takes up so many SEU of space, and I put it in shop 1's cargo grid. So each shop has its own cargo grid. You can't pull them all together and have one shop selling a million things. They're all split up. When that shop's cargo grid is empty, you need to go replenish it. You set your profit margins on them, plus or minus, if you really want to do that. And then hopefully make some profit. And for those merchantman owners out there, the merchantman is going to work in essentially the same way. They have shops, you buy stock. The stock is held in the cargo grid along with shared just cargo space, and the shops use that. Feel free to talk to Tony about any of this afterwards.
Oh, geez, that's a huge reduction in cargo from changing it out for the shops. Why do we need NPCs again? We don't. Honestly, I think they'd be better off without them. Yeah, it doesn't seem like you need NPCs. They're probably going to reconcept this and just change it so that there's not... These shops are just kiosks, and then your job is to make sure the kiosks stay stay, what's it called, stocked up. Yeah, this would be crazy with NPCs. Unless they were just, you know, standing behind the counter like we have now. But even then, that's just a lot to load in for a spaceship. Wouldn't you need more cargo space for shops? Well, the thing is, so it's basically taking up some of the old cargo containers that were used for space. Ship's the same size, so you got to lose some of that. Is this last year's? No, dude, this is 2019. This is an old video, which is why the Kraken Privateer is likely going to undergo some changes there. Huh? The support? Yeah. They did a hype train. We hyped. I told them the Speria Prowler utility. Just slap a kiosk there and call it a day. Oh my god, the people who bought this ship in 2019 are gonna be so freaking pissed. It's gonna be... Oh boy. That's too bad.
So yeah, there's a quick, very high-level overview of the two variants of the Kraken. Privateer has the 10 shops. It still has 768 SEU of cargo, which is a not insignificant amount of cargo.
Yeah, it's a lot of chocolate.
Dragonfly Bays, so we think of it as like the mobile lawful space station, or less lawful, if that's your thing. The regular Kraken has 3,792 SEU of cargo, which is a lot of cargo. So that's slightly less than a whole sea. And it has Dragonfly Bays, and we think of that one as sort of the mobile combat outpost. So if you want to be a Kraken owner, you've got sort of two paths to go down there. So that's the
freaking almost as much storage as the whole sea, and it's inside the ship. The Kraken, the normal Kraken, could make so much money just from cargo hauling with some support ships. Actually, that would make for a great event. The one that Tyrus does, where we get the boxes and ship them out to different places. You could do that on the scale of like hundreds of SCUs with the Kraken. You could just have like, I don't know, a couple whole A's, nomads, rafts. I don't know if the raft would fit on a Kraken, but you could go and park out in space and then use those ships to fly out to different planets and come back to the Kraken as your home base. Actually, why I think that they are going to do that at some point is if you go back to the first introduction. I'm going to hurt you. This is going to hurt. I know it hurts me. I'm also a little weird, though. I'm going to go back to the first introduction of the quantum economy.
That's enough cargo to fill my Kraken.
You don't say. Enough cargo to fill your Kraken. So you go back to where they were simulating the universe, and they actually were using Krakens as their pirate bases out in space.
Let's go ahead and take a look at Hursten, the coolers and quantum drives.
Check this out. This is where they're operating out of, you guys. Right.
As you're going to see throughout this little deep dive we're doing, they love using the Kraken. But I think that would be really cool as a realistic point of interest in the game.
The future. Let's talk about a bit more in the future.
Okay, so that's it there. Moving on from that, they were talking a little bit about how they would get around to making the Kraken a few years ago, and you'll hear some familiar names in here. I know somebody was talking about the Perseus earlier. You're going to hear some familiar names in here, and it will kind of show you that they're still following the path that they lay out in this video, at least to some extent. Some of the stuff slipped a little bit, but listen in.
Backlog of ships. And at what point in the game can we expect larger ships such as the Kraken, Polaris, and Perseus? Now, this one's a when question. So, but let's go with the core here. How are we expecting to work through this backlog?
Cool. I'll start, and then others can chime in if they want. So the last year or so, we've been really sort of improving and just making the pipeline work better. Mark and Corey have done a great job revitalizing all the documentation that sort of I wrote years ago and we've just lived with. But because I've done more and more leadership and directorship, I've not been so hands-on with things. So they've taken that over and built the pipeline. The last few ships we've released have gone through sort of that new pipeline, and things have mostly gone smoother. Still doing some tweaks as we go. But ultimately, at the end of the day, big ships need a lot of resources to make them. And where we want to get to is a place where we're still delivering the same amount of content as we do now a year, as well as 1 to 2 capitals a year on top of that, and supporting all the other teams like we do. And at the end of the day, that just needs more people.
You want to get to the point of delivering 1 to 2 capitals a ship.
Yes.
You're not saying that we are at that point.
We're not at that point yet. We're building to that point. So the last...
Seems like we're kind of at that point now, right? We got the Polaris last year. I know, so we'll say the Idris doesn't count, but we did get the Idris this year. Probably going to get the Perseus and the Ironclad by the end of this year too. So those, you could say those are the 2 for this year. Looks like they might be aiming for, I don't know, man. I don't know if they're starting the Kraken right now. It's in pre-production. It's not even starting yet. The Kraken's going to be a 2027 release. So I don't see any of the obvious capital ships, but they did say they were going to move on to the Galaxy after the Perseus. So who knows?
A few months we've been
I'm not sure about the Ironclad either.
Expand the team, which people have probably seen with the introduction of the Montreal vehicle team. And we're also looking for more...
the Pioneer.
So if people are watching.
Yeah, and any
good leads.
Yeah, any lead artists watching.
To replace Corey.
Yeah, because shout.
A little plug.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon. A lot of these shows do serve multiple purposes, and they're absolutely, from the conversations that I have to have with the talent acquisition team every single week, they're definitely a hiring tool.
Run the ads and basically just run our.
This is the ad.
Our page.
Yeah, you're presenting it to these people who it would be that they're working with. So I'm showing them.
It's cool.
Are you sure you want us on here then?
It's too late now.
Ironclad next year. Ironclad next year. It could be a thing. The jury's out on the Ironclad, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, they could take their time and do it next year. It'd probably make more sense. Perseus at the end of this year, let that carry Invictus, or let that carry IAE and do Ironclad next year, or Invictus week maybe. So here is one of the last times we've seen the Kraken recently. As I said, they love to tease it. So here's a really little, completely random teaser that they gave at CitizenCon last year. Like literally there was no reason whatsoever to do this other than hype. So this one makes sense because like this ship was literally getting delivered during that time. But then CIG can't quite help themselves. Gotta go a bit further. And it works every time. Look at all the smiles. Look at all the smiles. We're so happy. So that's the last time we saw it. And since then, mostly silence until last week, when the monthly report says, lastly, for ships, the Drake Kraken has entered pre-production, with the team identifying areas from the original concept that need further attention to bring to modern standards. Full production will begin later this year. This is undoubtedly going to be an 18-month ship, so the fact that they're not even entering full production at this point, this is going to be a 2027 kind of release. But that's mostly what we know about the Kraken. We've also seen it one time in engine, well, in game. I think it was, I want to say IAE, maybe 2018. I think Board was covering it. Nope.
Ship suits.
That's a hologram. We definitely saw it at some point. Maybe it was Invictus. Invictus. Anybody know what year that was? They just had like the model sitting out on the Lorville landing area. $29.51. It was not. I'm not gonna be able to find it. Either way, I did see. I think it was. Yeah, Trishbone did a video on the Kraken. I actually haven't seen this yet, but Trishbone has a lot of talent. He's been on the podcast to talk about some of the ships that might be coming up this year. I would check out the channel if you haven't. It's all really, really high quality, and it's good entertainment. But that's really what we know about the Kraken so far. You can put it out of your mind for a while. We'll be touching back on the progress on it as it goes, but in terms of getting into game, which is what most people care about, it's going to be a long time. That ship's so far away. Perseus seems simple in concept compared to the other large ships. Yeah, the Perseus seems fairly straightforward. 2018 it appeared at Lorville. When they start modeling the Kraken, it's a good indicator that the artists jump off the ironclad into a new project. I want to find some people to play with, but I can't play till September. Well, we're not going anywhere. Is the community helpful for new players? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I do think that the more difficult a game is, the more helpful the community tends to be. Especially when that game doesn't have the tools to help new players, because the community goes through it and they know, they understand. If you need help in this community, you'll be able to find it. It's just a matter of finding a good place to settle in. You can always join our community, the Garden. But in general, if you're just looking for help, posting on any platform really, you'll get friendly replies. But yeah, if you want to hop into our Garden, our Discord, ! Discord will make the link pop up. We have a specific channel for new players where you can ask literally any question. Nobody's going to mock you or make fun of you. Everybody will answer. We have general chat. We got Star Citizen. We got a section for Dune Awakening, Satisfactory, Jump Ship, all kinds of stuff. Post your pets, post your food, post your face, post your feet. No, not your feet, but post. We have channels for a lot of different things in there. So make yourself at home. Welcome to the Garden. There's a massive hacking. Oh, crap. I completely forgot we were in the... I knew that was going to happen. We didn't even get one check-in. Post your toes. We need a toes channel. Don't let the toes talk scare you away, Alberto. It's it's not what it seems. All right, let's get back into the game. Toes. Good start to the testing. Pragma once. Thanks for subbing on Twitch, my friend. Welcome to the party. Tomato moment. This makes me need a little. Feel better. Toes, toes, toes. You did tell me to wiggle the mouse. The problem is I can't just wiggle the mouse. I also have to switch screens. It's absolutely what it seems. Bunch of feet lovers in here. That would be so, honestly, it would be really funny if there was, if anybody in the group did have like an extreme toes fetish and they were just hiding in the, and now I'm saying this to a rated group of people. It's just not the kind of thing that you want to see in the, your first thing you hop into the channel. Hi, everybody. Thanks for popping in. Welcome forward. Thank you for bringing in the folks. Good to see you all. I promise we're not, it's not like that, okay? It's not what it looks like or sounds like. Toes, toes, toes. Oh, man. No, but that would be really funny if like there was somebody in the audience who was just like secretly like, yeah, this is great. They keep talking about toes and they accept me. When we're like, for everybody who's wondering why the toes thing, if you look at the word tomatoes, you'll get it. It's not my fault. I made 3 emojis that made up the word toe, may, toes, but the audience only used the last one. Off to nap board. Well, thank you so much for dropping by with your folks. We promise to take good care of them. Oh, sure. I bet it's not like that. Totally. What is the there was a movie when I was a kid. Oh God. Spy Kids. Friggin' Spy Kids. Didn't they have like toe people? I should get like a cutout of one of those. That's too much. That's too far. I can't do that. Just for the toes. Okay, I get you. Whatever works for you. Thumbs, they were thumb people. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Thumbs look like toes, though. Talk about a long time ago. Spy Kids was like 2003, 2004 time ish. It was around the Shark Boy and Lava Girl time. (2001). 2001. Oh my gosh. That's what, 20 freaking 5 years ago? 24 years ago? Old enough to rent a car. All right, we close this up. What's our next topic for the day? The topics are getting progressively less fun. Ooh, the new inventory. Yeah, that'll be fun. Inventory talk is still fun. Were Shark Boy and Lava Girl not part of Spy Kids? I don't think so. Maybe they're in the same universe. Didn't really have cinematic universes, though. The Shark Boy verse, the Lava Girl verse, the Lava Shark verse. Actually kind of got a ring to it. They could have included Sharknado in that multiverse thing. The Apollo is coming soon and everyone is bricked up for it. What the heck is the Apollo gonna do though? What is it gonna do? I think that's what literally everyone is wondering. Even one of our dogs the other day. I heard it bark in this weird way and I opened the window, leaned my head out, and it said, "What are they gonna do about the Apollo?" in dog voice. Maybe I should get like a dog voice filter on here. Does this sound like a dog? That didn't sound like a dog. All right, we're back in place. We'll try this again. Although I genuinely, this is not getting great results. Scooby voice. Oh, actually, like a Shaggy voice would be really funny. Apollo bed drones win. 2030. Sorry, I need to pull up the actual video. O's.
Dang 10 months. Thanks for the great content, man.
Dang 10 months. Thanks for being a homie, Smev. Appreciate you coming and hanging out, checking out the stream, and supporting. Thanks for supporting. Hope you've been enjoying them. All right, so we're going back to last week's Turning in the
Made it,
verse.
at least the manufacturer.
Oh, look at that. It's right where we wanted it to be. So here we have... All right. This is the new inventory. And I have taken some time to break down what's going on in here. Got a couple notes. All right. So we're going to kind of go through this in a little bit of detail because I didn't want to stop up the Star Citizen Live episode too much. I figured we'd just do another standalone video. And honestly, I was going to do a video on the main channel, but then all this stuff started to happen with the glitches over the weekend. And I'm already working on a video about the Vault weapons that I wanted to cover, which now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think that's going to land very well. So I don't think I'm going to do a video for this on the main channel, but I did want to get into it in detail with you guys. We need the crossbow in game ASAP. That is not the top priority I've heard from anybody just yet. You're unique in that one, Blazin'. How's the cheating scandal going? Any new info? Yes, we'll get to that in probably like 20-ish minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Let's talk about inventory. All right. So first thing, obviously, that you notice when looking at this inventory is like it's incredibly cluttered. I don't think what this is not going to be what we get in the game. I think we all know that. There's no way we get a new inventory by the end of this year, in my opinion. It's not an active development now, and this is going to take a little while to make happen. So I'm thinking next year at the earliest. Between now and next year, if anybody has watched how CIG develops things, especially UI, you know things are going to change quite a bit. But we can kind of look at the general ideas here and what they explained here in the video, and make some calls there. Do we think this is a Squadron 42 inventory? No, I don't think they're going to have one. I think this is too complex for the market they're going for with Squadron 42. I don't think we're going to have anything reminiscent of the engineering we get in here. I don't think the flight or scenarios in which we're flying ships are going to be as difficult as in Star Citizen. I think we'll only need that holographic looting menu most of the time, or when we're like running around in the game FPS wise. I think that game's going to be a rather simplified experience compared to Star Citizen. Not crazy, but enough that it's more approachable. And this isn't very approachable. I mean, it's approachable, but like Squadron 42 wants to get the kind of person that's going to play Death Stranding, like a cinematic experience just in space. And for that, it does need to kind of, I guess Death Stranding is also not a great example for that. That's a fairly complex game. I'm not making a great case. Maybe this is the Squadron inventory, but I don't think it is. I think they'll stick to the looting menu there. So let's go from the top down, looking at everything that's included here. First thing are the little things up top here, the little indicators. Pretty straightforward. That's just which inventory are you accessing. Something that he mentions here, he does a little drawing and he shows that you'll have different things that are sitting around you in proximity. You'll be able to basically just select those things and that inventory will pop up here. So you'll have your personal inventory, whatever it is that you're looking at, and then your equipment here. This is already much better than what we've had in game. And it also seems to mean, because you can see you have access to the boxes on either side, that you can have two different containers open next to you and drag and drop things between them, which would be awesome. Yeah, this is huge in terms of playability. I think this should be a priority, but unfortunately, nothing takes priority over Squadron 42. No, the hacking is not that bad. It's Val. Can't understand why it's not priority when the devs want to add more loot content. Their UI may be working entirely on whatever's being added to the game right now in terms of content. Like, good example. Where the heck did that? I think I closed it. The monthly report. Oh my God. This is awful. This. They might not have spent a ton of time on it, but if they're going to do any work on the PU, it's going to be this kind of stuff that they are doing for whatever is like the immediate next thing. Because they're not even close to getting in the game. And they're probably spending most of their hard hours on Squadron 42 still, because Squadron 42! It's going to be the year I say that the most. To be honest, I'm really excited for that game. It's just, it's such a drain. It's a busy screen but it's needed. Well, that's something I didn't mention. The reason I think this looks so busy is because they are trying to put everything on the screen at the same time. So some of that can include like these timers. You look at these timers, they don't make any sense for where they are. Maybe they make sense for being inside of a container that is locked, or a crafting machine. But in general, I don't think that that's contextual. I think they've put that on the screen. Same goes for all these bubbles out here. I'm guessing these bubbles probably aren't actually full if the first one isn't. They probably pop up as you would fill the other ones, right? That's what I would assume. I also think that they've got this sort of stats thing pulled up because just so you can see it. It might not add too much clutter to the screen. I'm kind of sitting in front of that. But I do think it makes it feel busier than it actually is. And then obviously there's just stuff everywhere. So in terms of clutteredness, it does feel busy. But I'm assuming this stuff in the center gets a little more cleaned up than what it's supposed to look like here. Or they will clean it up over time, I would hope. Is Tony C still at CIG working on the economy? He is not. No. Oh yeah, I'm very into the single player campaign. I come from a single player background. Yeah, the bubbles are the slots on the suit. And I'm just wondering, like this, for instance, this clothing icon, why would that be on right now? Or the glasses icon. These should be disabled if you have armor and a helmet on. But maybe not. Who knows? We'll see. Either way, continuing on, you can see that we've got plenty of filters now coming up finally. So they're going to allow for the same kind of filters that you have when you're looking at the inventories in the shops. Select alls, obviously. Clear filters. Stack all button over here on the right so you can immediately get everything packed up into their own squares if you have a bunch of different stuff, which we always do. Oops. They use micro SCU for the measurements. How do you guys feel about the whole micro SCU thing? Does that throw you off? That all measurements go through SCU? I guess that makes the most sense. There's you gotta have like some kind of a standardized volume unit. I gotta get used to the idea of measuring in micro SCU though. I'm so used to full SCU that it's I don't have a good idea of the scale of what that represents in real life, you know? Yeah, we need that stack all button. That's gonna be freaking huge. I wish they would put that in the current inventory, to be honest. Okay, big upgrade to this inventory that we're noticing is the 2D images over the 3D images. This should help with making the inventory load better and be a little bit quicker and more reliable. But I'm gonna need to see that to believe it because, oh my God, it's so bad right now. But yeah, 2D renders, and honestly, I think the pictures look nice if they could just have a stylized picture that sits in here. All of them are the same size, so it's a little bit cleaner than it used to be. And there's not too much like hologram doubling up graphical effects like you would kind of expect. So honestly, I think it's fairly clean to see. One thing we are missing here that I don't think is included is a list view. The list view would also be really nice. Make it a little easier to search for things since you can't even see names here. Hard to imagine what an SCU looks like. Well, an SCU is 1 meter cubed. Like I can kind of imagine that. It's like carrying a box like this, you know? So I know what they mean when they say, okay, you've got an SCU of ammo. I'm like, all right, I've got a pretty hefty box. Like several thousand rounds of ammo in there. But then they're like, yeah, you've got 5,000 micro SCU. I'm like, is that my phone? Is that a head? Making things have standard box sizes would go a long way to help the inventory be less cluttered. I think that's a huge advancement to this. Simply just standardizing the sizes. You can also see in here that we've got T1 through T5. Okay, now hold on a second. Let me just confirm something real quick.
To be affected by the quality of materials used to craft them. For resources, just have suction item stats for all craftable items.
Okay, so we have T1 through T3, and you're kind of seeing similar icons. Like so I actually don't know if this is a mistake. They put T4 through T4 and T5 up here, but we do have T1 through T5 on this. Originally it was 3. I'm actually not sure if that stands for a tier. Yeah, ships will have T5, but these are ammos. So don't know where that comes from, but we can see that there's a lot of them on different units, indicating the level of the gear. Level though. Yeah, T5 is ships, but these aren't ships. These are armor and ammo. We can see that there are materials stored here. These numbers are freaking crazy, and there's probably no way you're actually carrying that much, but materials being collected and stacked is a big part of crafting that we're looking forward to. Down here in the detailed description section, a couple of interesting things. Manufacturer, they did confirm that this would be the people who make it. So if you make the weapon yourself, your name will show up here. If you do enough of them, obviously that's a way to spread the name of who you are. Integrity and durability, that's all about the wear and tear. We looked at that last week. I won't pull that back up. But that's where guns will fail. You know, if you're not taking good enough care of them, you can lose a gun to overall wear over time. That kind of stuff. And then we got regular stats like you would see for any other game that's a shooter. Above that, you have bricked status or unbricked. That's has to do with the inventory, or not the inventory. That has to do with the item recovery system. I'll let you guys listen in on that because we haven't gone over that in a little while.
This means it's more beneficial for you to go back and get your original ship. And this is where ship insurance and our new warranty mechanic comes in. First up, we'll have 3 tiers of insurance with level.
That's not what we want. We're looking for this. Here we go.
Items that you own will automatically be assigned to you. This means if someone steals your ship, you can mark it as stolen, either via an insurance claim or in your Mobi.
Okay, so we have that, right? And then we have what they mentioned earlier about item recovery Why does the Reddit link come up before the freaking Spectrum link? That's so weird. So we have the item recovery, what they said earlier this year, which is that eventually when you get something stolen, you'll be able to go to a kiosk and report it stolen, and over time that will brick the item for the person who stole it. Looting and bricked items. Once an item is looted, you will have the option to sell it, dismantle it for crafting items, or restore it to make it your own. This system creates a viable path for piracy, allowing you to claim another person's belongings if you take the necessary steps to legitimize ownership. The idea of bricking these items, I guess, starts with T1, which is the next version of item recovery coming to us. Once an item is looted, it remains usable until the original owner reclaims it or marks it as stolen. At that point, a dead man's switch is activated, meaning it will cease to function after a period of time. You can still sell the item for credits, though. Eventually, you'll be able to break it down into its own components. But as of right now, that is what this little detail means here. You can brick that item, and the person can keep it and sell it, show it off, and do whatever, but it won't work. And it actually shows who it's registered to originally as well, so that maybe you can change that registration to your own name. I think these indicators in the center are better than what they have right now in terms of showing us where things can go. It's not anything groundbreaking, but it shows the capacity through some nice bars on the outside instead of cluttering it up with more numbers. We got a couple status icons here, which will probably help with glanceability. Numbers to show which loadout they're next to, I think is actually really nice. I like the loadout indicator down here. I think this is mostly hitting everything folks want from an inventory. What, in your opinion, is missing? What's something that you'd like to see here? There are 3 ammo. The immersion. Weight. That's true. There's no weight on here. We have volume, but no weight. Good call. A text version. Good simple search. I think this is like a really small nitpick. I know this doesn't matter to most people, but generally they try to keep things immersed in first person in this game. And I think if they found a way to display our own player character on our visor and just kind of make it look like this is on our visor instead of a 3D camera out in space, I hope they can do something like that. A favorite button. Looks like right here. There's a little heart. Oh, you can't see that. There's a little heart right here. Looks like you can click to favorite things. Weight is at the top. This is the volume. This is still just the volume indicator right now. Maybe they're not going to choose weight since we are in different gravity settings. Still think that would be important though. When are we getting this? Probably not till next year. Imperial or metric. What would you like to remove from this to make it less complex? Cyberpunk's still way better. Let's see. Let's see what like a traditional inventory screen looks like in comparison. Be like this. I mean, in Cyberpunk, you have a lot less stuff to worry about, it looks like. Yeah, you don't even have like a full inventory on this screen. Your full inventory is on a different screen. They don't show the attachments. You click into the guns to see the attachments for the specific gun, I think. But everything is separated out a lot more, so it's much easier to tell what each thing is. I think honestly, having a more solid colored or gradiented background like this would help a lot with not making it feel cluttered. It's a lot of lines and stuff being overlapped. Cyberpunk splits things up. See, I think that's what really makes the difference between, say, a game like Star Citizen and Cyberpunk, or even Squadron 42, is where in this game you have a lot of crap in your inventory that you might want at that exact moment, whereas in Cyberpunk, the stuff in your inventory is getting equipped or unequipped. You're not dragging it into your hand or putting it on the ground or putting it in a box and moving it from one box to another kind of thing. I actually thought it was busier than this. Maybe this is the older one. Oops. We got kicked again. Not doing very good at this testing thing. Show less, add groups and a filter, and allow small, medium, large icon size. There are filters. I do like the idea of the icon sizes. And I guess that would take care of the showing less. You just make the boxes bigger. Yeah, changing icon sizes would be a solid change. No Man's Sky? Let's see. In No Man's Sky, you're still not really seeing your player character either. You're just seeing whatever it is you're looking at. So the inventory is a little more, I don't know, disjointed, kind of. Dead Space, I think. Man, what game would match this? I mean, something like Rust, you know? Tarkov? Yeah, let's see what Tarkov's looks like. I know a lot of people love Tarkov's inventory, but they already use different sized boxes, right? So there's a change there. Here we go. Properly busy. So in this one, yeah, this is a little bit more similar. You got your whole inventory in one place. And then you've got, okay, so this is like a bag. I guess this is whatever inventory you have selected, pockets, and then the stuff on your body. You can drag and drop stuff. Oh, these windows are floating. That's pretty nice. That's really nice. The windows are floating. I did not know that. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we could probably do is make some of the icons bigger. I think having them be uniform is pretty nice. But anyways, that is a look at the inventory. I don't know how I ended up making this video this long. I didn't mean to. We'll try and cut out a lot of that, but just wanted to give a little deep dive into this since I'm not going to do it on the main channel. Hope you enjoyed. Icon size, bottom center of the UI. Oh! Well, there we go. Thank you for catching that. You got that right before we left. They've got their icon size. Potatoes. Oh boy, thank you for the sub, dude. Tomatoes and potatoes. Yeah, they got an icon size controller here. So maybe that's something they already have planned then. Good to see. And with that now, we have truly dived deep. Thanks, chat, for helping me get through this. It'll take some getting used to, but you like it. It will take some getting used to. But at least you can open 2 boxes at once. You just need your inventory to stop resetting and desyncing. Well, that is the bigger thing, is we can get all excited about a new inventory interface, but we also got plenty excited about a new star map interface. And unfortunately, sometimes some of the same problems that plagued the old one stick around for the new one. So some of our problems are more database related, persistence related, and hopefully that stuff does get fixed. But it's not just the interface. All right, I'm going back down to the starport for our testing spot. Never gonna get this done. Equipment section should be more separated. Now it's just weird. Do people generally not like hello? You want to fight? Do people generally not like the interface of the current one or the performance? Yes. Generally, yes. There's dead bodies everywhere here still. America. You saw on Reddit, they're mostly on EU and Asian servers. Oh boy. How was your weekend, dude? How was everybody's weekend? Anybody do something fun? Somebody tell me something that you did that like you can brag about. So often we do something pretty cool and you just don't get to brag about it to anybody. The other day I flipped a water bottle over and I caught it on my finger and it just stayed there. And I looked around and nobody saw it. What's the point? What's the point of even doing it if nobody saw it? Come on. I didn't get any pictures. I didn't put it on the internet, Tumblr, reposts, top 10 on MySpace, like nothing. Nothing came of it. You touched grass? That's pretty good. You killed a worm, Vastin, like in real life? HTD Momo, cancer is in remission. Now that my friend, let's all give him a freaking applause for that, dude. Congratulations. That is awesome. That's awesome news. Black Sun, you slept for 14 hours. That's also awesome news. That's pretty nice. You worked, Diva? Okay. Okay. Well, was it good work? Do you feel like you did a good job at that work? Went to work, nothing too crazy. Settle down, man. Careful, Twisted. You don't know if you've heard, but you've been hearing stuff about hackers mass killing players on the PU. That is what we're doing right now. Well, we're not mass killing. Just looking to see if it happens at all. You ate a cookie and did not drink milk. Me and Mrs. Tomato watched a video all about cookies yesterday. It was one of those, what are the best packaged food thing where the chefs all test it blind. Ta-da! Back in place. You mowed your lawn. That messes me up with the allergies.
Want your company to be in good company? Our corp's unique.
Clearing out about 300 dead trees and got a propane tank installed at your cabin. Nice. A little more livable, huh?
Inquire today to learn how you can invest.
Got some cat grass so you can grow your own grass to touch. It's a lot nicer when it's yours. Helped the new player in SC learn how to play the game. They walked away with a missile launcher and new ammo, new armor. All right, hopefully they walked away with a missile launcher and good ideas, or I don't know, good tidings. You watch the recipe from a New York doubles chocolate chip cookie with white chocolate filling. Get out. Who puts white chocolate in a cookie? Geniuses. That's who. All right. This should be an interesting one. Mainly because there's a lot of... This is a weird thing, all right? There's weird stuff going on in Star Citizen. People are dying. Stuff's getting stolen. Honestly, I've been standing out here for... I mean, we kind of backed out a couple times, but so far nothing's happened to me all day, right? But we do have some references and videos of hacking stuff, and looky here, an actual issue council post that supposedly is this same problem that people are encountering. So let's start with this issue council post because this is the latest news. This is what we just saw. It came up. It was marked as fixed just a couple hours ago. And what this is describing is basically somebody bought armor. Both of the people randomly heard the beeps when you go incapacitated. Screens went completely black. We were forced to hard quit. Upon login, we woke up in a hab as if we both died. However, we had 0 armor gear and no mobi-glass. We both attempted a character repair and were returned to Orison. My friend was stuck in incapacitated state with no ability to backspace. It looks like this same thing happened to multiple people in these pictures. These are contributions though, so these are coming from, like, these are coming straight up from videos. This is not... People are literally posting pictures from things that they aren't necessarily doing. They're finding from YouTube videos that have been posted. But there are a lot of contributions to this. 213 people went in on it. And it has been marked as fixed in the game. Obviously, at this point that we're playing, there's probably not enough news and chatter to see if it's still happening to anybody. We go to the subreddit. They usually are pretty on top of the what happened, why did I die posts. That happened to you last weekend?
Obey all security and customs personnel at all times. Their job is your safety.
I'm not seeing any posts about this fix. Yeah, so maybe that's not caught up on Reddit yet. That's a little surprising. Given the gravity of the situation and the possibility of Chris Roberts can lose viability, I think people are giving this a little bit more credibility as like being an extremely bad thing. A lot of folks, I think, maybe weren't here to see the previous time that hacking tools started to proliferate a little bit more. If you missed that, Avenger 1 did some videos on that. You can go and find back in his history. I have found signs that this is related to the same tools. These are tools that have been... I don't really want to give these people... like, I don't want to shine a spotlight on their actual names and stuff. But how can I... Okay. Let me go back to that issue council report. You look at these pictures. Where are they? So these pictures are taken from a video that's posted from the same account that is related to the group. Yes, that was in the video Avenger 1 did. Now, you can kind of see this if you find this specific video, which is unlinked. It's unlisted at the moment. It's completely private. They're only showing it to people who they think might be interested, I guess, or whoever, if you know, kind of thing. I don't know. But this person is also related to that other group. Let me see if I can pull up one of these links I have. Again, I don't want to put too much on the actual screen. There we go. So this is a forum I found. I'm probably gonna get actually don't really want to put this forum on here. I don't want people to start coming to our stream and getting crazy about this because we're blasting their names out here or anything. I'm just gonna explain what I found. So I did some digging into this and found posts on the forum I just pulled up. This is the same forum people use to distribute this stuff from February. Somebody was basically figuring out how to load a whole bunch of stuff into their backpack and carry more than the game would allow. They were also saying, though, that like their use of this tool wasn't a big deal and most likely wouldn't get a lot of attention. But there were groups of people who, once they did find out about this stuff, might get more attention on it. And also might just make a bigger deal out of it that gets more noticed. That seems to be what happened. And the person that they specifically said in their own comment, I'll have this in the video that I'm releasing tomorrow. I just would prefer to release it in a more prepared format than just throwing all this stuff up on the screen with the potential of people clipping this, putting it other places, and then targeting us for doing that. So the person who was linked in that, or who was talked about in that comment, ended up being the same person who is posting the videos that people are pulling these screenshots from. Now, there are other rumors swirling around that this person may have shared the code to this tool to let other people make use of it as they're backing away from the project. I don't know if that's true. The whole thing that's happening, though, that people are worried about is what GTD here posted, and I'm not going to show the whole thing that he posted here. I will post a link to this video in chat if you guys want to check it out. Check out his own channel. But what you can see here is this player in white and purple. White and purple. Basically, the video starts out with them right outside his elevator here. And then out of nowhere, he teleports. Now, we've all played Star Citizen. You know you could teleport. That's not that crazy suspicious, but it was weird that they ended up in a train together and all these other players. They get out of the train and you'll see this guy here run up next to this other guy. He loses all of his stuff. And our man GTD here mentions it in chat and then follows and dies when he gets close. But the most interesting part of this, I think, is the speed at which this player moves. Almost creepy, the way he flashes in to the elevator there. And one of the things that I have seen on some of these videos where people are showing off these tools that you can use is that you can actually change, you can change speeds, you can use teleportation, all that kind of stuff. Now, this isn't the same person that I'm saying is from the group that Avenger 1 covered. I don't know where all the connections are. I'm still kind of following them. But this is also another video that has basically been put out by a channel to advertise the tool that they can use to exploit parts of the game. Things like seeing through walls, moving too fast, stuff like that. Now you're seeing reports of mass deaths and stuff. You can see reports of mass deaths and stuff on Reddit. Again, these kinds of things happen in Star Citizen. I would not immediately assume that people are doing this themselves. There is proof that people can exploit the game, but that proof has existed for years. I can Hold on. I'll show you a video from 2 years ago of this same thing going on. Which, where did I even watch that? Might be here. Yes, indeed. So this... Dang it. So this is the same kind of thing, right? Infinite ammo, teleportation options, fly mode, no breathing, freeze inventory, wait, all this kind of stuff. This is the same thing that Avenger was focusing on, he was reporting on. This is from 2023, this video. And it's the same thing that I saw somebody using towards the beginning of this year, or at least talking about. What am I wrong about Marco Polo? I currently haven't made any statements on what actually is happening, so I don't... Tell me how I'm wrong, and I'll make sure to let you know that I am not claiming that. I don't know. Question of possibility versus probability. I think, if anything, the best thing is for CIG to have video and record of when things are what things are happening, when they're happening, and they can get all the information, and then they can make a decision based on what they see on their end. As players, we can't see everything. And so the best we could do is look at what's happening, report on it, let people know, make sure the information's out there, and like test it ourselves. See if this stuff's actually happening. People start calling everything hacking when it could be a bug. Yeah. That is why it's just, it's good to not jump right in and claim that it is. You think hacking is happening, just not as much as people are making it seem. It's definitely happening. I mean, there's obviously tools that are there for it. Just a matter of what it's causing. Mass deaths are a hack tool. I did not say mass deaths are a hack tool or are not a hack tool. People don't realize, but if security is grossly behind the curve compared to hackers, cheaper for companies to pay for fines and lawsuits than pay for advancements in security. Just pay the people who find the cheats, man. Hopefully it gets squashed before it catches on. Economy is already broken due to exploits. And CZs are widely exploited too. So I've heard. Why does it sound like you're trying to justify this? I guess because you hear what you want to hear? Does it sound like I'm trying to justify? What the fuck, dude? Hot take, but sort of true. All right. You know what? In that case, I'm just gonna stop talking about it. Y'all are weird. Never mind. Well, let's stop talking about this. If you guys think I'm trying to justify this, then I'm not making my point clear, and I'd rather talk about something else. That's okay. Oh, okay. We'll switch it up to something a little more entertaining than this. I don't try to inform of this kind of shit to get accused of actually being on the side of the people who are doing it. Wild. All right, we'll move on to the next thing then, which was actually going to talk about. Oh, I didn't even get to go over this post. So there is a big post. I'll link this in chat for anybody who wants to keep going on this. I don't feel like covering this anymore. I don't like these accusations. But I would read this too. This goes into quite a bit of detail about how this kind of stuff can work and why it might be possible in game. And more information did follow. The next thing I was actually going to bring up was the closures of the Microsoft studios over the last week, which was kind of wild. And I think that's, I kind of like the topic because, to be quite honest, Star Citizen is in this weird position where it's taken a super long time to be made as well. And the games that we're seeing, I think I closed all the tabs. Nope, here they are. The games we're seeing close have been in development for a long freaking time, and it really just goes to show how insane these development processes are. You live in Seattle, there's a lot of condos for sale that have come up. The economy here seems to be flexing. Dude, the Northwest is crazy for housing. Oh shoot, mouse wiggle. No, I closed the game. I'm not gonna cover it anymore. I definitely don't need folks starting to take what I'm saying and see it as me justifying this. That's not the drama I need. Kind of wish Perfect Dark didn't get canceled. Was hoping it would come back as a good game, dude. Yeah. So let's talk about this. Microsoft closed some studios last week, and it is not the first of... It's not the first time. They've been closing studios pretty regularly. They closed... It wasn't Don't Nod. I don't remember who they closed last year. They closed the makers of Hi-Fi Rush and one other studio. They've also just been downsizing teams a lot. Because, guess why? Freaking AI stuff. They want to do more AI stuff in Microsoft. It's Microsoft, so they have to do the new thing rather than the game thing. So they're hurting Xbox for it. But I think the interesting part about this is really just an article talking about all the different studios that got hurt by their layoffs last week. It's like 9,000 people. But the biggest one here is Everwild. Rare was making, I believe, an MMO called Everwild. It was announced in 2019, and development of it started in, I think, 2016. Let's see. Everwild has been placed on a chopping block following over a decade of work. Okay, so I'm just following links from links to links. We'll eventually find the source. As part of today's cuts, been canceled. Rare game Everwild, according to people familiar, has been canned. And yeah, so there's not really a great source on the 10 years figure, but a lot of these reports are claiming that this MMO was in development for 10 years. And I find it's an interesting thought. Because Star Citizen probably would have been canceled, right? If Microsoft had CIG as one of their studios in this scenario, they probably would have canned Squadron 42 at some point in a move like this, because 10 years on, not having a game to produce is kind of wild. And so it's an interesting question, like, is it better to have companies that are making the hard calls of canning these games that are taking too long? Or is it better to have a game that can kind of just keep feeding off of hype and positivity and ambition and the hope for a good game and finally make it to creation? Because I do think that this is a good funding model, but there needs to be more done to reel things in early on, I guess. Like, Star Citizen is in a great place because they're doing something so niche that other people won't do, and they're proving some technology can do it. But at the same time, they went too far. Now they take too long. And while I don't think anybody who's into this game wants it to be canceled in any way, we certainly would like to see the production of it be efficient. And it's easy to see that, like, it's not just a CIG thing that this happens. Another one of these studios that's closing down is The Initiative. I was super pumped for the initiative. I don't know about you guys. This studio got announced, I think, in 2019 or 2018. Yeah, the team at the initiative was set up in 2018 with studio heavyweights, including Daryl Gallagher of Tomb Raider fame. And there were other people. They didn't name any of the other people, but I know there were other people who came in to be a part of this studio to do some big things. They got veterans from Crystal Dynamics, Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica. They just don't name names, huh? And it's really hard to find the info on this game now. They wiped the website already. But this game was announced in 2018, I believe, or at least started development in 2018. 7 years on this AAA kind of high-class game based on a studio that Microsoft started specifically just to make this single game. And in 7 years of time, all they had was a trailer. And so I want to pose the question to everybody who would be interested in a Perfect Dark game and be like, if you guys could fund the development of this, if there was a way for them to sell something that you guys could buy to use in the game in the future, and that's how you fund the game instead of it getting canceled like this, would you do it? Would you be willing to risk that company not handling the development well? Would you be willing to risk things dragging on because they want to get things perfect? Like, there's so many stories of these game development woes and problems, from Anthem to Perfect Dark to freaking Half-Life 3. Just, it's all over the place. And Star Citizen's such a chaotic example, but when you put it up next to hoping for an MMO to get shipped for 10 years and then it gets canceled with no say whatsoever from you or anybody you know, and this happened to like several different games, it's just, it sucks. Money and time don't even come close to guaranteeing a good game or a functioning game. True. That's fair. If majority of games in over 10 years of development are excellent games, I'd say it's unnecessary to cancel, but let's be honest, most games take over 10 years because of development problems, not because of adding depth. So then comes the question, should we be willing to put up with the development problems? Because we do it when it comes to stuff like really innovative stuff, like space flight. We'll just blow rockets up because we need to. So we got to see what works and what doesn't. But how far do you push that? Or how much do you allow that to exist in your industry? SC is the only good thing to balance this timeline. Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's a lot of really good developers. To be honest, I think CIG is within the Venn diagram of these. Star Citizen, at least, is in the Venn diagram with these games. It exists in a world where a lot of games have come out and done very well in the time that it takes for Star Citizen to be developed. But Star Citizen's a pretty impressive game. Or at least it's aiming for it. All depends on the reputation and experience of the developers. If they have a good track record, and if the game offers something very exciting, sure, you'd back it. How much time will Elder Scrolls 6 take to develop? They redo their engine from the ground and it's taking a long time. I wonder how angry people would be if they were playing Elder Scrolls 6 right now. I just thought this was an interesting thing to look at because the context of these studios shutting down and like the way that Microsoft handled this, I can't believe that the initiative was a studio that they started specifically. It's not like they acquired it and this company was struggling and they brought it in to try and make it run better. Literally, they picked a team and they were like, hey, we want to make this cool game. We want to bring back one of the old franchises. Go put this together. And then the team just didn't get it done. And you know what? Not all the blame goes to Microsoft for that. But it's not like it's not happening in other parts of Microsoft. Everwild never confirmed its genre. Everwild, was it the one that was like a kind of like Minecraft? Was that the one? Yeah, people were really excited for that. No, that is not the one. That's a different one, it looks like. Right? Yeah. There was another game that looked kind of like Minecraft and was supposed to be similar. More social, more made for the new age. The new age. And yeah, that one also got canceled. Got messed up last week. One thing about SC is it doesn't have suits looking for a return, so as long as funding keeps coming in, you're not worried. True, but it does have players looking for a good game. Oh, yes. Hightail. Yeah, I'm thinking of Hightail by Riot Games. Thank you. We behave worse than the suits sometimes. 9,000 developer jobs will buy a lot of AI. These people literally were like telling the folks at Microsoft to use AI to cope about the fact that they just ripped apart the company. Not a great look, guys. Yeah, it's Microsoft. What are you gonna do? Wonder what the ZeniMax MMO would have been. Well, to be honest, guys, I didn't really have much else to go over. What else has been going on in Star Citizen? You know what? Let's see if there are any dev posts lately. Oh, I bet there are actually. Been threads on threads. To be fair, they're focusing a lot in AI now, and money has to come from somewhere. maybe don't focus so much in AI. But I know they can't help it. They have to. All right. Mainly we're getting PTU patch notes. Was there a new PTU wave? Like it was just last week. Some CIG investors looking for returns. Yeah, but they've been negotiating quite openly. Those folks. Anti-AI people just repeat when digital art was getting popular. I mean, not really an anti-AI stance, more of a pro jobs. I use plenty of this stuff. I mean, I'm constantly doing brainstorming and stuff with generatives. Did we go through the monthly report? Yes. Yes, indeed. We could touch on it again, though. Underground zones, we haven't talked about. Yeah, we did talk about that. We could talk about it again. Your chat will behave now. If you cover the cheat issues, we really appreciate you, bro. I think I got through most of the stuff I wanted to talk about. These kind of topics make me antsy. Covering this stuff in detail isn't something I've done before, but I know wading into this is obviously a lot different from covering just features in a video game. So I do not want to make big statements regarding what the heck's going on, and I don't want to associate myself with any kind of group. So I'd prefer to be more careful about what I'm saying by just like scripting out a video and releasing that than trying to go over it live here. Nice things is to stop killing games. If they pass laws, we will hopefully get server files for SC if it fits. Toes. Watched a video about Captain Katarni. He explains how cheaters in SC mean the game has a reason to play. recently talked about respawning. There was a lore post when a woman went visit her mother who refused to sign up to respawning. I can't find that anymore. Do you recall it? It might have been a jump point. I don't recall ever hearing about that. Can I go over CIG review of the cheating? I don't think CIG's put out anything about it. I went over it for a bit recently, and I'm gonna release that on Space Tomato 2 as soon as possible. Like, probably tomorrow morning. For the most part, though, yeah, I don't know. I got to think about how I'm going to approach it. Sorry. What I think is holding up 4.2.1? I think they just have time. They're just waiting. What does it say here? They've got known issues. They have, like, blockers. Are these blockers? I don't see any blockers on here. Don't they say that stuff? I'd imagine they just wait until after the festival. Hey, Gwyn. Thank you for the sub, my friend. I didn't hear that. Didn't make noise. And Mrs. Tomato is trying to shoot me. Nobody said it. She just... Ow!
Oh my God! Oh my God.
In the face! This is my money maker. Nobody even asked for it. Now I get to shoot her. Gotcha.
That doesn't even hurt.
Oh, should I do it in the face?
Thanks.
No.
Myself.
PK, you don't get one. No, PKs don't count. Why do you think? Because you already shot me twice. No. Nah. Why do you think we don't respawn where we log out of? I feel like the game would be so much better if you had to be rescued from planet surface or beaver fields. For the persistence aspect, risk, that kind of stuff, so that you don't like log off on somebody's ship and then respawn later to kill them when they forget. Can't shoot Mrs. Tomato. Brother. I make a job of it. Actually, that literally she does. Sure, CIG will have a thread on Spectrum about it today or tomorrow at the latest. Oh no, I don't know. I'm kind of the mindset that they shouldn't say anything. If there are tools being used to exploit the game, they probably shouldn't mention that they're like what they're doing to solve it. They should just solve it. Maybe honeypot, wherever it's coming from. And yeah, use it against them. So yeah, looking at 4.2.1, I don't really see too much going on here that they're saying we need to wait for. Trains are popping in when they arrive. That's normal. ASOP terminal inside hangar remains in spinning loading screen after destroying ship on pad. Not that bad. Floor at the lobby of the hospital has no collision. Okay, this one's rough. This one, yeah, I think that one definitely needs to be fixed before going live. That doesn't seem like a crazy fix to get. Some inventory problems. Vehicle manager. Target lock unlocked at random. Oh, I hate that one. Target lock unlocking at random. That's been annoying. There is a chance that delivery packages cannot be placed on delivery shelves when Quantum starts, and on a path to get interdicted, the player is alerted of an infraction against them way too early. Huh. Keep which one in? The Lorville floor? I hate that. Such a low-hanging fruit to make the game more immersive. What is that? Oh, the bed spawning. Nobody likes Lorville anyway. Shout out to the people who spawn there and can't get out. All right, you wanted to talk about the underground facilities. Come to shoot me again? We don't have what? Do you have any potatoes? Terrible. The logging out and back in where you left off. I don't think that'll... Oh, make the game more immersive? I don't... I think if they were going to do that, though, they'd have to leave a physical representation of your body there, which would lead to a lot of people dying because they don't know their body's getting left behind. I don't think there were underground facilities in here. I think that was from the... Yeah, that's from the roadmap roundup, you're thinking. So we're looking at... We're going to go over everything that underground facilities was going to be this time. Last time we kind of just covered it in conjunction with the roadmap roundup. This time we're going to dive into what these things are supposed to be, because this is actually a really long process that these were introduced over. Right now, we're looking at the possibility of these coming in 4.3 located on every moon in the Stanton system, bringing in cooperative zones with different types of play. Now, in order to see why the heck we're getting these, we're going to go all the way back to CitizenCon 2018. Keynote Edition. Here is the first introduction of their underground bunkers. Y'all remember this?
Back to camera 6, please.
This was hype. Okay, we didn't even have planetary gameplay at this point, so seeing this was like, holy crap, dude. Star Citizen, what you doing, bro?
That's pretty hardcore here. Why don't player 1 and player 3 have a little fun?
Yeah, that turret fire is... Dude, what? Did he even shoot that turret?
Why don't player 1 and player 3
Look at, he's missing the whole time.
have a little fun?
And then it explodes. He looks like me shooting these turrets in the game. It's freaking hard to aim.
Okay.
This is the best part, though. That was definitely a reason to cheer. That was pretty freaking cool.
And this is I guess, the military, the version of the Temporal Cyclone, which is also going live with 3.3. So we have this.
All right, skip forward a little bit.
Is underground facility. So
Yes.
Lawville,
Oh, perfect timing.
So another type of missions that we have in 3.3 on Lawville or Hursten, actually more Hursten, is underground facility. So this is the very first example of underground systems. So we're going to have underground facilities, caves, other kind of things. And this particular one, this happens to be a...
I love when you're like listing something out and you're like, okay, I got this list. I do this all the time. Yeah, we're gonna do all this stuff that goes underground. We got underground facilities. All right, yeah, you know, there's caves here. Okay, we got shit. What else is underground? What else is underground? And then you go to space.
kind of, I don't know, waste storage.
I think it was used for refining. And,
right?
Well, we'll go check it out.
So let's go
You guys
down.
are too good a shot. You left nothing.
It's a pirate base. So this was like, we know this. This is our underground facilities we know and love. But then if you jump forward to CitizenCon 2022, tough crowd. I thought it was funny. You'll hear Ian Leyland here explain kind of what the heck is going on with underground facilities and why they're introducing something else new.
Let's talk about the original underground facilities. Now, the problem was we made these originally for the CitizenCon presentation demo, and the time we
That was literally the demo we just watched like 10 seconds ago.
wasn't enough to kind of take the location where we wanted it to be. Now, it kind of fits the current purpose. It's fairly small in scale. It gives a multi-room layout opportunity for FPS combat, but we always knew we wanted it to be able to scale, you know, small, medium, large, to accommodate maybe 60 minutes of gameplay time per location.
Man, I'm really sorry to everybody who's like watched these things with me over the years. I feel like I'm watching this for like the 18th time, and I'm sure some of you are pretty up there with me. But it'll be worth it. So remember, Zone 1 of the underground facilities.
So how do we go about designing a location archetype from the ground up? So what we do is we split the location into the core areas we want to visually develop. Now for underground facilities, the first thing we're looking at here is what we're calling Zone 1. So this is the presence on the landscape. So what we're looking at here is an example key art shot of what a medium-sized underground facility could look like. So dominant features that we're seeing here is a kind of a key spire. This is instantly where your player, you should be able to navigate towards.
You will notice these look a lot like our distribution centers we have right now.
An executive landing pad on the top. And then moving down, it's very important to be able to get the landing pads or the landing hangars quite close to the facility, because we wanted that experience as the player lands. They're not far off from the location, they're actually quite close, and you should be able to see a little FPS area where the player lands. Also, what we're seeing here is some visual justification at what might actually be going on. So you're seeing, you know, processing tanks and
shapes and things. So we keep going past this first sector, right? And then we get inside, and once again, these are actually looking pretty familiar.
Now moving on to the inside, so after the players landed through the hangars, they'll be brought up into the main core.
Like this almost looks exactly like the lobby of the distribution centers.
Reception. Now these are going to be quite interesting because we'll be able to rebrand these depending on the manufacturer or the location. That's where we'll get a lot of the variety. But this is the corporate presence before the player would go down into the bowels of the facility. And what we're seeing here is, you know, just an example of what a bearing reception could feel like.
All right, so this is where things start to get mixed up, because all of that has looked like distribution centers up until now. We get to Zone 2, and things start changing.
Now, moving into Zone 2, with it being an underground facility, the physical act of going underground, that's cool, right? So we wanted Zone 2 to be about the logistics of the player going up and down, and how we can make that cool visually, but also interesting from a player experience. So this is the transit, the elevator network. So we played around with a few different ideas into this, and one of the things that we thought could be quite interesting is the elevator itself could be a mini play space. So,
all right, skipping a little bit over this. This is something you can kind of recognize from distribution centers as well. And the difference between what we have and what the distribution centers are, or rather what this is in the distribution centers, is if you think back, in a distribution center, you'll go into this room that it's fairly dark. Let me see if I can find a video maybe that shows. I don't think I'm going to be able to find a video that shows this. Morph did a video on this that I might be able to, maybe he has footage of it. So it would be in this section,
a bit too cluttered. And
so if you look here, this is kind of similar to this. you can see the general design. So there's this central section, and then there is this section back here that's an elevator. And that's what they've kind of hidden in the distribution center. You can't tell that back here is a space for an elevator and plenty of space around that elevator, like clearance, just like this. You can see you still got like this overarching control section here, like they had in this concept art. There's some hallways coming in from the sides over here. So this room is, I believe, was developed from this concept art. And what we're going to see is that this elevator is actually supposed to be a piece that drops down into the ground to the rest of the underground facilities, which now that they're talking about them again, I do think might actually connect to some of the distribution
The
centers.
utilitarian art style. In the future, we'll expand out and do other art style variants. So what we're seeing here is the control room overlooking the main warehouse floor. And then this elevator should be big and clear enough for the player to understand, like that's where logistics will go up and down. And for the elevator itself, we wanted it to be its own play space. So on the top level, that's where containers will be shipped up and down. But maybe underneath it, there could be little nooks and crannies.
You can see this is
Navigation.
this is a little bit closer to what they ended up coming up with. It's like this large sort of glass wrapped lobby thing pointing out. Pretty exact match. Moving on
Be as intuitive
to the third zone. This is underground. This is the part that I believe we're about to get, but I don't think it's actually going to be connected. I think they're just going to be abandoned ones and kind of a first test case.
Moving on to zone 3, so this is the bowels of the facility. So these are going to be spaces that we've never really explored before. A lot of the locations in the game tend to be quite residential, but here we're going for something completely industrial. As a player, you want to feel like an ant almost to the location. The primary purpose is not for you to be walking around, so we dedicated spaces towards logistics, and we put kind of personnel walkways almost as a secondary element. So in this image, you're kind of seeing where, you know, big trucks could kind of go, but we've also got like little nooks and crannies for the player to kind of explore and go into. Now,
Nooks and crannies.
The corridor. So kind of similar to how you'd see on a character be a little control room looking at the flight deck. Here
Dude, this was so much freaking concept art, but this is actually a CitizenCon panel. This might be what CitizenCon is like this year. I mean, not in terms of the concept art and stuff, but just in terms of the presentation and delivery.
FPS combat, you know, for opportunities there. And
Basically
then
like an
even
ISC.
in, underneath, you're kind of seeing a tertiary route. Now, part of this could be this maybe is stealth route, or maybe this is the upper area is blocked off, so the player has to go down below. So even within something as a concept of a corridor, we want to design many different avenues for the player to traverse. Okay.
Then they had these larger facilities that were deep underground.
Now, what we're seeing here is an example of an industrial space. Maybe it's processing. We didn't want to go too specific. Just so in the early development process, we wanted to explore motifs that could work. So here we're seeing an example, a processing room, but there's a few key things that's kind of cool. So right from the bottom level, there's a network of levels which will be dedicated towards processing, you know, pipes, machinery, all of that sort of good stuff. And then as we get higher up, we're seeing that very dominant kind of technical control wing suspended over the play space. As an idea, this creates a plethora of interesting opportunities as a play space to fight the way through or solve puzzles. One of the things early on we wanted is cause and effect. We wanted the player to be interacting, solving puzzles, but seeing that reflect into the space.
Like accidentally setting off explosions because you don't know what the heck you're doing.
Another theme room idea we came up with was processing. So bringing in raw materials, processing them through, ready for manufacturing. So we had a bit of fun with ways in which we could kind of create these quite interesting set pieces. So it's not all just industry.
In terms of processing, I think these would be best if you could just land and I guess this is how the space stations work. You land at a distribution center, you put your goods into the freight elevator in the hangar, and then wherever you go within the underground facility or distribution center, you can access that freight, so you can process the stuff you shipped or something.
In the underbelly of these underground facilities, there's also going to be technical areas, areas dedicated.
Dude, imagine working right here. That's awful. Look at how bright this is. This will f you up for half the day, man. Turn this off. This guy is so rude. Turn this off. Let these people work in peace. Oh my God.
Control of the location. So what we're seeing here is maybe it's the main map room. So this is where they control the networking of everything. And also on here, you've got...
This guy is dying. Misery down there.
The overseeing executive suite. So it's not just technicians here, but also executive wings. And also as a bit of fun, if the player does get access to these executive wings, then we're seeing another type of art style in here as well. So we've seen industrial, we've seen technical. Now we'll be seeing, you know, more like the corporate
Indo-technical.
So meeting rooms, office spaces, that sort of thing. And what we're seeing
Tech-industrial.
here is maybe there's the data processing of the location. So as a quick idea, we thought these data racks are actually submerged for cooling in a base of water. We thought also it'd be cool if there's a cause and effect. So if the player solves a puzzle, they go from it being below water to above water. So again, ways in which we can kind of spark ideas or conversations with design about interesting opportunities.
We certainly hope that sometime that happens. Now, this is what I think what we're going to get will look more like. This is the underground section that's a little more, quote unquote, abandoned style.
And then lastly, Zone 4. Now, it wouldn't be, it'd be a missed opportunity if we didn't go into some sort of organic locations as part of the underground facility. So this could be excavation zones or areas where it'd been abandoned. This could lead into cave networks. This was something we had quite a bit of fun with. So how do we actually take the player from being in this fairly well-established industrial location to a cave? There needs to be some form of transition period. So we came up with ideas about how we'd see excavation equipment, or, you know, with the roads kind of peter out. And as part of the roads, you know, maybe we can do...
Yeah, the mining ideas and stuff are great for down here.
As we're transitioning towards more natural spaces, we can not only introduce different types of geology, but maybe we're introducing some form of liquid. So depending on the location, maybe it's on a certain planet, there could be like underground rivers, underground lakes, maybe it's lava, maybe it's acidic. And also if we're describing these locations as maybe some are more abandoned, we could start to showcase how nature slowly started to take over. This also would introduce some pretty cool opportunities.
There's a lot of conceptual work and conceptual talk. Here is a little bit, though, of like the white box, I guess they were working on at the time. Who knows what happened to this? This could have been shelved and just waiting for underground facilities to become a priority again, or for distribution centers to expand. Don't really know if this stuff is still part of their repertoire of things they can use for this work, but if it is, we could see a nice expansion from UGFs. I'm not going to say they're definitely coming in the way we're about to see. I wish they were. I always thought they were until last year or so, maybe, when they didn't really talk about them. Now that they're coming up, I'm hopeful, but I don't want to get too excited yet.
Pushing forward for the new underground facilities. I'm quite excited about it, and hopefully you are soon. And we look forward to showing you more in the future.
All right. So that was what they had to show at that time, both concept art and some kind of work graphically in engine. I'm not sure. But that is not all they had to show about the new underground facilities. We actually had another update shortly after that. That's not where we're going to go, though. We are going to go to this update, I believe. Nope, not this update. This update talks about the scheduling. This is the update, I believe, that talks about... Yes, so here we actually get to see these in the engine. This was kind of crazy because at that time there wasn't really much show off something, get it in game quickly. But this was 4 months after that. 4 months after the concept art and the reveal of underground facilities, this guy was able to jump in and show us it in the engine. And this is part of why I think like there probably is this stuff existing somewhere in the game. I just don't know if they would use it. What you're going to notice here,
I'm just here for doing environment,
is that this is definitely what turned into distribution centers. So it's not like the idea of distribution centers and underground facilities being connected is that crazy. It's just that they haven't outright said it just yet, besides in this video. So we'll watch this and you guys will see what I mean.
you know, the function of the place. So as you can see, it's quite a formidable structure. Hangars on either side, landing pads, so you can move your cargo back and forth. But for us, we're going to just land, hopefully, on the top. Oh my God, I am really butchering this flight.
We've all done this. Well, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us have gone and taken missions in distribution centers. It looks almost exactly like this. You can land down there. I mean, it's more detailed. There's more decoration. But you land down there, you come inside.
And the rep is, you know,
wait, I think he just said UGF.
Our lobby we'll get into. Here it is. So this, when you first turn up to the UGF.
Well, holy f***. He just called it an underground facility. I mean, I guess that's what they were still calling it by now. They weren't calling them distribution centers yet. Never mind. Sorry, false alarm.
You know, rock bottom. You're going to come here first. And this is kind of the introduction to whatever company owns the UGF. And you'll be getting some missions from in this place, but you can see it's quite going for that brutalist.
Don't actually get missions, really.
Having all this.
I do think that these locations are going to get a lot of help from the addition in 4.3. They're adding the ability for players to get missions from entering locations. That would probably help in the distribution center, huh? Was the distribution center turned into underground facilities? Other way around. We're watching underground facilities before they were turned into distribution centers.
Glass kind of makes it so you can kind of let the outside in a way. And you can see by looking out these windows, we can kind of take a look at
Akira-kun, good to see you.
The expanse of the structure.
Jay Bartender, welcome in.
And I think in the background over here, that is another UGF. So like I said.
All right, continuing on, we know these areas. These are like the administrative kinds of areas. But
our main
this is that same spot that I pulled up in Morph's video, right? There's the same overhang, same central area on the left and right, same central areas. You got the catwalks on the side. That's where he's coming in at. This is just a finalized version of this. And honestly, they do need to unclutter this. This looks kind of ridiculous. But you can see again that they've got that elevator back there.
Elevator room, which you can see over there, which is lovely.
Yeah, same thing by a different name.
Way through. So there, this is the top elevator room. Again, there's kind of access to the outside. There's access to side rooms and other rooms from here. But essentially, this is where you're going to be in order to get downstairs. You have to come to a room like this. I'm just going to kind of walk you through it and go to our cargo office. But lots to do, lots of people milling about, lots of space to, you know, to do things. So in we go. So this is our version of our cargo office. So you'd get delivery missions from here.
You can see this is already more expansive than the distribution centers that we have. We don't have shops and stuff in there just yet.
You could buy items, but a lot of our rooms are going to feature this kind of door with pedestrians on either side, and that's just so that we've got that kind of functionality throughout the space where, you know, things will be moving around and really the pedestrians want to be out of the way type of thing.
The underground facilities we're getting in 4.3 are abandoned, but they're abandoned because of other things. These that they're talking about here, and this is my own speculation, there's been nothing else confirmed except for what is in 4.3 with ASD. I believe that this is a sign that we might possibly see underground facilities expanded from distribution centers. Don't think it's confirmed. This is my hope and my dream, and you know, call it a prediction maybe, but I think the fact that they are bringing underground facilities back into the limelight with 4.3 tells me that maybe ground locations might have more purpose than I thought. I thought they were canceled.
Let's just have a...
But I also think that these underground facilities are a really, really easy excuse to create instanced servers down underground that have no effect whatsoever on the world above them, except for economically. I mean, this is a really easy way to close off game spaces for people.
Look into the space itself. Everything's controlled by this kind of observation tower. For us, we're going to head downstairs.
So everything up until now has been pretty similar to a distribution center. This is the part where it drastically changes into an underground facility.
So away we go.
I remember in Morph's video, in these underground facilities, this was over here. We just walked from this area across this path over to this elevator here. Now we're going down.
Now the depth of the, the first sub-level is going to change in every UGF. No, that's going to be procedurally generated, a lot like the rooms as well. Oh, and the elevator's just kind of moving back up. Now you could take the cargo elevator down, that's fine, but that's going to be fully automated, whereas these pedestrian elevators are going to be more independent, and faster as well.
Rodolfo, what's up, friend?
Disappearing up.
How you doing?
Top. So this is our bottom of the elevator room. So again, nice big space, very functional. There's going to be, things.
I mean, at this point, you could just be in an instance, right? Exactly, admin. If they just have that elevator transition to you in an instance, not even like a different version of the game. Like it's basically, it could be basically like the hangars. As you go down that elevator, it just kind of transitions you to another part of under the planet's surface. And then whenever you go back up, it just moves you back into the space.
It's loaded on and off. And then this gives us kind of access to the rooms, or the wings on either side, I should say. So as we release more content for this, you're going to get more expansive wings, different themes, that kind of thing. Now the doors here are a bit misaligned. Again, work in progress. And this is a security checkpoint. So hopefully you've got the right credentials. You're going to get checked, you're going to get scanned. But what if you haven't got those credentials? Well, there are alternate routes in. Down here that you can see there's a little hatch, so maybe
those do exist in distribution centers.
Maybe you're sneaking your way under the floor, or are you making your way over the top on piping? Multiple ways in. So again, we're in a bigger room now. In the white box, it's really good to just call out, yes, your alternate routes, yes, your main path, but also where can you get on and off of those? What's rock, what's metal? What's a feature, what isn't? Because if we can call that out now, it means that we're giving people more information as they go into the next phase. Again, so this is just an example of a kind of maybe a rock room, which kind of just links 2 rooms together. Maybe there's some storage. Now, can I just jump over this because I forgot to put stairs in? Over to the other side. And these are kind of our biggest doorways, but I'm not going to go down this, but we're going to have smaller doors into the space. So in here, it's kind of like, well, where do these lead? We're going to have to wait.
We will literally never know.
So that one up there, that's where you'd kind of navigate to each room.
It gives me a Tsavo Highway on Halo 3. What this reminds me of.
Through the ceiling. So we're back in that big room from before.
Also some Half-Life.
Now, when the rooms are this big, we can do a bit more with them. So there's an area out back here. There's, you know, rooms and maybe even some control points. So what if this bridge, I know it's a little blurred over this chasm, what if you could retract that back and forth? What if it's not even there? How are you going to make your way across?
Right as your friend's about to drive
Not
their
for me to decide, for you as the
vehicle
player
across.
when you're getting in and out to decide. But for the moment, we're just going to make our way through. Yeah, if you fall down there, you're probably going to die, so watch out for those kind of things. But there are still, you know, hopefully you can find your way on these main routes. Some side rooms you could play, but then also, you know, this bit's under construction now, but I wonder when it's going to be in the future. And, you know,
more
having
construction.
all these spaces kind of to this level of detail, it's really rough, as you can see, but I'm walking around unhindered. You know, I can step up and down this thing. I can see where kind of a building might be, or where we could have mission spawners, or maybe that's where you need to get to. You know, you've got this main route, but we've also considered the alternate route. So if you're sneaking in, where can you go? And this
Jump
is
it.
kind of predominantly.
Jump it.
Well, actually, having said that, there's pipes up there, so you could go from the ceiling, or you could go underneath. And then, how do you sneak around? What if people are down there and they spot you? You've got to contend with that. And then this is more of a hero room at the moment. This is like a warehouse. So this is same level of detail as the rest that we've just walked through, but the lighting's had a bit of a better pass on it.
Where they
We're
store the
midway through
drugs.
this white box process at the moment. Things can change still. You know, maybe the alternate route is where that guy in red is down there, but if you fall down that one, you might end up breaking your legs. You know, all of these containers, maybe the straddle frames are moving things around. Potentially, you could, if you're on a mission where you want to steal something, maybe it's in one of those containers. Hopefully a big, you know, working space, sandbox within a sandbox, you could say. What I do like about this room is that you've got these straddle frames, you know, why not get onto the top of them?
Believe it or not, this was one of the first times in all of Star Citizen's development history that we were actually seeing labeled 16 and 32 SCU boxes. I remember watching this video and seeing these boxes and being like, oh, they're building bigger cargo boxes. We're going to get 16 and 32. Oh my gosh. Like, he was walking around all this and I was just like, wow, cargo boxes. Cool, dude.
About this room is that you've got these straddle frames, you know, why not get onto the top of them and get to the
GII update just went out on Discord, folks. Go drop the fire emote.
Cabin. Also, when you're in the depths of the room, it's kind of like you've got these big piles of crates.
This actually reminds me of a map from, I think, Battlefield 5, maybe? I think Battlefield 5, there's like a map where you're in a bunch of cargo crates around this area. You're fighting, it looks a lot like
Maybe
this.
you're sneaking between them. Maybe you're rifling through the contents of one and then trying to get out.
Was that 3?
So there we go. That's where we're currently at. Like I said, we're midway through White Box. We've got a bit of time left to polish these rooms up and get the rest done. We're more or less at about 17 rooms, and then each of those rooms will have.
Dude, no way. That was 3 or 4. You You gotta be. There's no. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on. Wait. What's going on? My brain is breaking. No way. Battlefield 4? Are you freaking serious? I need a moment, man. Oh. Oh. I feel like Steve Carell. No! No! God! No! Jesus! Wait, hold on. I gotta look that up now. I'm so sorry. We're gonna cut this out of the video. Sorry, editing. Just a little distracted. Hold on. So, Battlefield 4 map with cargo crates everywhere. This is the one that had like the... Oh, was it 2142? Or 2042 I'm thinking of? It feels newer. This the one you guys are talking about? Wait a second. It might have been 2042. That might be why I'm so thrown off by the timing. Yeah. Yeah, it was this one. It's this map. Oh, thank God. Okay, I'm not that old. Holy crap, guys. Dude, you guys freaked me out. I thought I'd lost time, man. I was like, wait, Battlefield 4, what's going on? Right. Yeah, no, I get it was in the earlier games. This is the one I'm thinking of, though. That's why it was so recent for me. I honestly don't remember it from the other ones. All the Battlefields in the modern times have had maps like that. What was the Battlefield 4 one? I don't remember. The docks. Battlefield Hardline. Oh, this is a map they wish to see in Battlefield 4. Oh, is it this one? Is it the freaking... This one has like a train on it, right? Yeah. Is this one you guys are talking about? With all the containers in it? 1v1 me and Rust. Ah, man. That was it? Okay. Battlefield 3 and 4, man. Good times. All right, so I think we wrapped all this up, which takes us to our last segment. The lovely Destination Adventure. So underground facilities basically disappeared after that. We literally just didn't hear about them anymore. But in the year 2023, they just kind of introduced this. And this is, I want to show you how this was introduced. Just like imagine to yourself that you had just gone through all of the things that we just went through, the videos and all that stuff, and you're thinking about that, you're excited about underground facilities, you're looking forward to it. And then this is the next introduction you get of any sort of large ground-based location.
Before we delve into it, everything that you're going to see is currently in grey box, so just keep that in mind. So, these distribution centers, what are they? Well, first off, they're the biggest location we have on the ground outside of landing zones. The reason why they're so big is intentional. We wanted them to accommodate as much world and mission-based gameplay as possible. Each location supports multiple landing pads and hangars, making them accessible to as many players as possible at any one time. There's even a road network to support transit from the planet's surface, into the main building and to any berth ships.
Roads!
So every distribution center will be owned by a faction. Depending on the faction and where the distribution center is located on the planet will determine its specialism. Now, each specialism will lend itself to different missions and gameplay opportunities. So let's talk about some factions for a moment. So an example of a major faction would be the UEE.
Boo.
Now, at their distribution centers, they're likely to be more
What the heck?
Now, an example of a major faction would be the UEE. Now, at their distribution
Oh, I
centers,
think people booed in the crowd too.
they're likely to be more specialized towards military supply, research and development, or communications, depending on which branch of the UEE it is. And means of hostile gameplay that we're thinking of is hacking and stealing, searching for and destroying a specific item, tracking and eliminating any VIPs, and everyone's favorite, eliminate all.
Now we got these. I don't even think a lot of them work anymore, which is just, these missions were made like a year ago. Why do they not work now, man? Distribution centers have been pretty disappointing, not gonna lie. I do think that there's a lot more in store for them. They were added at their whole 3.x level, oh, we just want to get this in for the alpha kind of edition thing, but I do think there are more plans for these facilities. They just left in squalor for their first year. Yippee.
Grey Cat Industrial would be an example of a minor faction. So their distribution centers will be more specialized towards gathering resources, manufacturing, assembly, shipping. There would be a security.
These are the things that would come from the faction, the mission givers, and the actual presence. I do believe that we're seeing them inch their way towards this. They're adding Foxwell. They're adding ASD. They're adding Hathor. They're adding different companies based around the content they're doing. I think that's just their vehicle for getting stuff to work. At some point, Grey Cat is going to have like a faction rep or something, whether it's Grey Cat or Shubin or Ling or any of the families or any of the companies that do industrial stuff. At some point, they have to get mission givers and like faction missions, and those have to come from somewhere. Maybe there'll be cities and space stations, but I think distribution centers are pretty primed for it.
Presence here, but it won't be that as strong as a major faction. Our missions here would be more suited to friendly gameplay loops, though we won't be ruling out hostile missions like corporate espionage.
All right. Now we're going to look at, so just a brief look at this stuff here.
And I'm here to present the administrative area of these facilities that the Montreal team has been working on.
So the administrative area is that center spot. And yes, it looks quite similar to the underground facility diagram we saw earlier. So do the internal parts of the base. Like, this is the same stuff we were looking at in those underground facility videos. They were just calling them underground facilities. They just changed the name of these because this first version of it wasn't underground. It was just that. Let me go back. Back. It was just Zone 1. Remember? Zone 1 is distribution centers T0. This. So they were talking about the things they want to do with this, but it didn't come together in the time that they wanted, I think. But here they talk a little bit about the big pieces of content they wanted to have in here, which is the raids.
Risk, high reward operations. As Carl mentioned previously, you'll be able to choose how you gain entry to these locations. Coming prepared and geared up will make the difference between success and failure. Ultimately, you'll need to work together in order to succeed. So these raids will have you breaching the interior of the main structure, highlighted here. Now, each interior will comprise of rooms that reflect the location's specialism. For example, a shipping-focused distribution center will have rooms dedicated to the storage of cargo. Looking to the future, we're planning on having distribution centers with subterranean levels that will be accessed from this interior space. These will expand upon and increase the difficulty of these raids. Now let's take a look at one of these raid missions in action. But please note that this is early gameplay prototype of a raid.
Black. That's how I shoot. I don't think this is what we're going to get at the underground facilities in 4.3, but I do think this is the kind of stuff they're thinking about for ArcCorp. This feels like the combat version of the different types of raids and gameplay they're going to do. With 4.3, we're looking at something more puzzle focused, which there are some puzzles that they were going to do in these areas with these boxes. They just never did. Look at this dude's just... This is literally Cyril Figgis if he was playing Star Citizen. Suppressing fire! Man, you better hope there were some valuables in those 4 boxes you got. It's a fun idea for a raid, to be honest. I think this would be fun, as long as there's good stuff to get.
Thank you. So, as you saw in the video, the team took a more aggressive approach to getting inside and taking what they wanted. But this isn't the only approach you can use. You know, multiple points of egress allow you to be stealthier, and it may make it easier for you to avoid obstacles in your path. Now, reputation will also tie into these raids. Missions will have varying objectives depending on the player's reputation level, and dynamic events may also be triggered during the raid, so players will need to adapt to an evolving situation. This could range from dealing with additional security personnel to other players arriving to defend the location against you. Something else we've been prototyping is how we can utilize the multi-tool to create gameplay puzzles. Physically interacting with the environment around you changes the puzzles for everybody. With multiple add-ons for the tool available, you may have to get creative when finding a solution to the problem in front of you. In this next video, we show you how...
See, this was like, I was really excited for how they were going to utilize this to give us something easy, puzzle-based to do with gravity. I really hope they still are going to do this.
Using the track to be an attachment can open up new paths to your objective, but it's up to you to decide what path you can create with what is available. That's what
Considering this is related to distribution centers once known as underground facilities, and we are getting supposed underground facilities focused on puzzles in the next update, maybe we'll see something similar to this. It's riveting stuff without the sound design. It's actually extremely anticlimactic without the sound design. But I mean, I like the ideas there. It's not lose your head over.
So, yes,
puzzles are good.
You. Now, obviously, it was, you know, this location would be possible with several people at CIG, so my thanks go to Manuel, John, Jack, Martin, Farouk, Luke, Chris, Mustafa, Sam, Tom, and Rob. You've been excellent. Thank you to Rainer and his team in Montreal. You know, none of this would be possible without their efforts. And yeah, thanks to everybody here and online watching. Really appreciate your support. On to the next one.
All right. So that's what we really got from distribution centers after they were introduced. And I think there was an ISC about them, but we don't really need to go into too much detail. There was a Q&A on it. I wonder if they answered anything about the underground portions. Let's see. Plan to have it connected to road networks. Will the new UGFs replace or be in addition to existing bunkers? Okay, let's listen to what this is about underground facilities back in 2024. It's last year. Pretty up to date.
There's no difference between you and us. I mean that. Will the new UGFs replace or be in addition to existing bunkers? Well, we already know that. That's in addition. The existing.
Yeah. They will remain, and DCs will just be there.
See, they're even like somebody said UGF, but they knew they meant DCs. That it's so similar.
It's one of the reasons we replaced the name. Like we were calling these new underground facilities for a while, and it's like, well, it just got confusing. People thought they would replace it. No, we named them because these are in addition.
But now they're adding new underground facility. I don't know what to think of that then. Is this supposed to then be a confusing part? Or do these replace them? So back then, they were still calling them underground facilities. Like he specifically didn't say they were renamed to distribution centers because they were removing the underground part. Just that they were confusing. That's the only part that he mentioned. I don't know if there's any other bits here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. Are abandoned or derelict distribution centers planned? Are abandoned or derelict distribution centers planned? Let's listen to that.
Are abandoned or derelict distribution centers planned?
Not at the moment, but I think going on the fact that there are rundown or abandoned versions of other locations, there's no reason why we couldn't have versions of the DCs which were in the same category. Yeah. And then you could then have DCs in like pirate systems like Pyro, for example, where they are kind of up for, maybe it's a bit of a capture the flag type episode on it, but with players, that would be quite cool to have. Who owns this distribution center? Does it change hands a lot? Are you then competing with kind of more established factions in the game? That would be pretty
that'd
great.
Be sick.
But right now we haven't got plans to do that, but I don't see why we shouldn't do that in the future. I
mean, you're right. We do make abandoned or derelict versions of everything else. It's just, I don't know, things, these brand new things look cool, and then you rough them up and you mess them up, and they just seem just that much more real. So I would be very surprised if the call isn't made at some point.
Yeah, I think, in...
And here we are, just a little over a year later, and the call has been made.
The first release of anything, he says, thinking about Pyro right now, you need an occupied version. And then when you have that, it's kind of like you've done all the setup already, you're just making new overlays, which then dress it in a certain way. So
yeah, it's interesting that they're going with them added in Stanton first, but I guess they want to bring more gameplay to Stanton before they really double down on Pyro some more.
The hardest part is the initial release, what we want, but then after that, it's still work to get these things done, but it's not, I suppose, as much work. Hopefully,
I don't know. It's I've seen that when they were making the derelict ships, it's a lot of work to break them up in a way that's not just crap, to be completely fair.
Yeah, I suppose with ships though, it's different because the ship is formed and they have to unform it. Whereas with us, our base rooms already exist. It's just new dressing on top of them.
You put some hole.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming in. This is your captain speaking. Tomato will be with you shortly.
Oh, Super Mac Brother. Holy crap, it didn't even tell me that at first. Hey, dude. Hello, everybody. Welcome in, good folks. File in. Super Mac Bro, thank you for the raid. Mac Attack, bring the pirate, the scimitars. Welcome in. We are doing a little review of underground facilities. New edition coming in 4.3, kind of where they come from and why they matter. Just honestly, actually, Getting to the end of that one. Do you all actually get excited seeing such gameplay? When they show progress, you're in awe when they show the locations, but the second they show any gameplay, you absolutely cringe out. Some of the gameplay gets me, some of it doesn't. It depends on what. A lot of times when I see the gameplay, I more imagine how I'm going to use it than what they show us doing. Because they're just showing us like the most basic kind of straightforward marketing version of it. We could have more fun. We're a little creative like that. Raiders, what have y'all been up to? Where are you coming from? Were you playing the game? Were you off-gridding today? Make good money? Meet good people? You sell anything? I know Mac has been running some sales events on his streams lately. To wrap this all up, we get to 4.3 and their cooperative zones, which are not events, not sandbox, like contested zones, but focused on investigation, puzzle solving, and cooperation. We saw the examples of some puzzles that might take place in some of these underground facilities and also how they might look. The underground facilities are located on every moon in Stanton, multi-leveled, enormous, and used for cooperative zones. And I do believe on the roadmap there is at least one picture of these. Not a picture of the location, just kind of like a branding shot. These are the underground facilities. So, we'll see how they turn out. But to be honest, I think there's a good bet underground facilities are going to make a decent comeback and actually be used quite a bit. And I'm crossing my fingers they do get implemented in distribution centers. And we get some massively larger in-game locations to do this kind of gameplay. Because stuff like this is going to be so much better for working your way through steps and sections of locations, like way better than Hathor, where you're running around outside, or even Stormbreaker, where you're doing things on like closed circuits or flying through space to get to somewhere. These are going to be like actual industrial locations where we can get into different types of gameplay. I like that. Obviously, they'll be more beat up than what we're saying here, but similar. Some good news. My friend, you missed it all. I was considering touching on all the hacking stuff again, but I think I want to maybe put that to rest until I have more to consider there. So yeah, that's everything I had for today. Let me think. Yeah, no. I think I went over enough of the stuff with the hacking, to be honest. And I'll put that video we'll put out on Space Tomato 2. Probably be a little bit careful as to how it's edited so it doesn't sound like I'm somehow endorsing this stuff. But I think I went over mostly what I feel is happening. While things could be glitches and could be instability and could be whatever. Let me pull this back up. Here we go. Whatever this is, all this, no, god dang it. Authentication. The heck? Huh. I can't access the issue council post anymore. Why is that? It's gone. Do they usually take issues down after they've been... Weird. Stopped wearing your bling armors because the hacking didn't want to chance it. Don't think it sounded like you were endorsing it, but perhaps minimizing the severity of it. Well, think about it this way. If you were a mid-sized journalist who's reporting on something going on in a city, you have no direct first-person sources. You've only seen what other people have posted online, and there are credible arguments to be made in both directions. Would you say, stay in your houses, be scared, something's going on outside, or would you say, go about your day, be wary, take note, but try to live your life? All I'm trying to say is keep an eye on this stuff, report the stuff if you see it, and be vigilant. I don't know how minimizing the severity goes, but like, to be clear to everybody listening, hacking's bad. It shouldn't happen. And I think it's actually good it's happening now, and CIG can see how it works before it happens when the game launches. But yeah, I guess I'll edit the video so it doesn't look like I'm minimizing things, but I don't think it's worth causing panic when no panic needs to be caused. And I think going out and like testing these things for yourself rather than spreading other people's stories without confirming them is the best way to go about it. You can post the issue council in the Discord. The mod is gonna block it. Did you miss the Kraken? Yeah, we talked about that a little while ago. Just explaining the possible perception of your statements. The perception's fair. I would hope people wouldn't think that I am into that. Oh, don't worry about it, Lieutenant Adventures. I'm not going to pull up any more of that stuff. Toes. If this happened during 1.0, oh boy, yeah. Hey, the problem here seems to be easy anti-cheat at the end of the day. That's where most of the things are coming from. But I've heard plenty of complaints about easy anti-cheat throughout the years. Play catch up. Thanks for the sub, dude. Appreciate you. Are you panicking? Not fully, but you're deeply concerned. Yeah, and being deeply concerned is fine. I don't want anybody to feel like they can't be worried about this. It's definitely worrying to see that kind of stuff happening. You did not see it as minimization. You're simply saying we don't know if all the stuff is people hacking or some of it is glitches. We already know things. Pretty reasonable coverage. Yeah. People see that as throwing cold water on it, I think. Either way, though, I think we've talked it up enough today. Let's let a dead cat... That's not a saying. Don't beat a dead horse. That's the one. We'll leave the horse. I got a video coming out about it tomorrow. I'll let that do all the summarization of my points. For now, thank you everybody for coming to this stream. I hope you learned some stuff today, got some entertainment. I really appreciate the energy. Freaking support was through the roof. I'm pretty sure that was you guys subbed up more today than I don't know, a lot. So thank you very much, and thanks for coming and watching this whole talk. Just kind of stumbled along today. But I like the Kraken talk. That was fun. Good Lord, the Kraken Privateer is going to be an interesting ship. I will see you all on Wednesday, probably for gameplay. I'm thinking we'll get back into game, doing something fun or interesting, I imagine. And then I'll be back on Friday as well. Keep an eye out for videos coming out. I got one talking about the Volt weapons because I really like them. They're pretty freaking cool. And another one is kind of talking about this whole hacking thing that's going on, which I don't know. Maybe I will reconsider the script for, because this is it is a touchy subject. Y'all have a good evening. I'm going to send you over to 5-star. Is he streaming? I don't think he's live. Or I don't think he's on the stream. Instead, I'll send you over to... Aldo. PC 101's on. All right, cheers, y'all. Y'all have a good day. Treat yourselves well. You're good people. You deserve good things. Eat something you love. Hug somebody you love. Do something you love. Get some good sleep. Take care of your skin. Get that moisturizer on. You're all champs. See you later.